Hello and welcome back to another episode of Podcast 572. As always, I'm your host Kyle. I'm joined by my two friends Dan and Matt. We have a big PlayStation showcase to talk about this episode, along with maybe making some predictions for Microsoft's conference, as well as a bunch of emails. We got a couple. I think maybe a couple of the opinion, controversial opinion. Not as many as last week. But I enjoy reading them all. Please keep sending those in.
Yep.
But we're going to go ahead and jump in with what we've been playing. Before I talk about Zelda, because that's mostly the only thing that I've played, I did get a chance to play about 2 hours of Warhammer 40k Bolt Gun, which is just another Doom, 90s Doom retro shooter. Or as we were just telling you before we started recording, they're referred to as boomer shooters.
Sure.
Which makes sense. It's one of those is what I would tell you. With Warhammer, I'm not a big Warhammer person. I've never read any of the books. I've never played I have watched people and friends play with the minifigs and that game tabletop, but I'm not into that universe. I think it's interesting, but I've never dived into it.
Same.
The only other time I've dived into it was the first Space Marine game for 360. That's why I'm excited about the new one. But this is so cool. I was more drawn to this because it is one of those retro 90s, Doom shooters, and I play all of those. That's a genre, much like PS1 horror game is a genre now. This is a genre.
Wow.
So
everything,
which is also fantastic.
All these niche things are starting to form their own genres, which I actually kind of love. But
I do. This is it's very well made. I'm sure if I knew more about Warhammer lore and stuff, I would probably be even more into it.
Yeah.
But it's very much one of those, run from beginning to end, shoot a bunch of enemies, find keys to open different doors. It's Doom in the Warhammer universe. So I don't really have much to say. Like I said, I only played maybe an hour and a half of it. Just to check it out, and then I kind of just set it there I'll come back to this, but mostly my time has been spent with Zelda. I have put in 55 hours now. I've put in 55 hours and I have beaten one temple. So the temple that I beat is the water temple. So there are four I wouldn't even say they're classic dungeons, because a lot of people, I feel one thing I read before the game came out, a lot of people are talking about is if they bring back classic dungeons. They're not really classic dungeons. They're I would say they're a much larger shrine with 4 to 5 puzzles attached instead of 1 to 2.
Okay. Yeah.
So, but they all link up into the same thing, and then at the end you'll fight a boss. So the boss of this temple was I'm just gonna say he was a little fucker. He pissed me off. He's a little almost octopus character that is covered in this sludge, and the sludge is what's causing the whole Zora's Domain area to be covered with this sludge. That's the whole point of that area, is you have to clear up this sludge so they have clean water in their area. Okay, so that's your boss. He's a piece of shit to go against. I really did not enjoy that boss fight. So it's just a lot of he's very quick. So when you have a power, because you have the Zora Prince with you. He puts a bubble shield on you, and then you can shoot that shield, which is water, at the enemy to get the sludge off him to fight him.
Okay.
But once you get to the halfway point, he starts just spewing this sludge everywhere, and it just becomes extremely challenging.
Gotcha.
Because if he is next to sludge and you get the sludge off of him, he can just immediately jump back in and swim away in the sludge. And so it is just constant, you have to be right there and hit him to stop him from jumping after you desludge him, or it's a nightmare. So I did not care for that boss, but that is one of the 4 dungeons or temples in the game that I've done. Right now, I've just been running around doing different shrines, trying just to get more hearts and more stamina.
Mm-hmm.
To maybe go do the next one. So the 4, from what I can tell, the 4 dungeons, they have the water temple is the one I just did, which is Zora's Domain. They have one in Goron City, so obviously they have one in Gerdu Valley, and then the 4th one is in, I think I talked about it last week, is it's in that wind area with the bird people. I don't remember what they're called. That's an ice area, at least in this one. So. Gotcha. But it's still tremendous. I'm having a blast doing the different puzzles with the physics and stuff with the ultra hand. and the different abilities that you get there. Like, that's just fun to figure out. Like, how do I get across this to do this puzzle, and how do I do that to get to the end of this? Lots of fun there. Lots of fun, just experimentation. But again, like, and I said this before, like, this game in Breath of the Wild for me harkens back to like how I felt when I played Oblivion the first time. That's why I have such an attachment to it.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
So it's that open world of like, you can go anywhere, you can do anything at any time. You don't have to do this in a certain order. And that's probably like, wait, now it's like, I need to just get this fucking story done because games are coming out. So, and that's my goal. And then like next week, because like, again, I've played 55 hours of this game and I have 1 of 4 dungeons done. So I have also explored more of the depths, which is like that underground area that reminds me of Blighttown. It's very cool. Like I've actually been reading stuff online about how it's almost like a mirror image of the surface.
Okay.
Different things that you find under there. So they kind of took like that Castlevania idea and flipped it into here. And I think that's pretty cool. But yeah, like, and I've said before, like if you didn't like Breath of the Wild, you're not going to like Tears of the Kingdom because it is like a lot more of that style Zelda.
Right.
So.
It's like a sequel. Yeah.
It is a sequel. And like, and again, it's Zelda. There is room to have this type of Zelda and make like another 2D or whatever. And that's what they should do. They should make another Link to the Past / Link's, not Link's Awakening. Well, they could do that too, but what was the sequel? Link Between Worlds?
Link Between
Worlds. They should do another one.
Yeah.
They should do another one like that as like a smaller thing. I think in between this and whatever the next big Zelda is.
Well, there's definitely room for it. Yeah.
Oh, for sure. But again, I'm still having a blast with it. It's the best game that I've played this year thus far. So I'm not going to bore you with hours and hours more of details of the intricacies of what is happening there. It's a game that continues to, and like every time I play it, there'll be a little thing where I'm like, wow, that's really interesting that you can fall into this path and then fall down this quest line and not even realize just because I met this random person on the road that this turns into a quest of, various things. So, which is really cool. So it's a game that it holds your hand until you get off that tutorial area, and then it does not hold your hand. So you're free to do whatever. So, there was one other, I'm trying to remember. There was one other like little thing with it. I can't remember. The only other thing I'll mention, Diablo is coming out.
Woo-hoo.
It is out in early access. I'm just putting it up there because I think this is a bullshit thing. I don't know if you've heard of either of you have heard of this. So I purchased the game digitally, and after I did this, I'd read a little bit about this on Reddit, and then it happened to me as well. If you purchase the game on the Xbox storefront, and this is an Xbox thing, this isn't a PlayStation thing. If you purchase a game on the Xbox store, like the standard edition, they will then come up, and you go to the store the next time, it'll show you a deal that says just for you, and it will be the Ultimate Edition at $30. And so that's tricked people into calling and complaining because they think that it's some sort of deal where they can get the whole thing for $30. What in reality it really is telling you is, hey, you can pay $30 more.
Right.
Yeah.
And get this.
So, that's how I would
But it's marketed really goofy.
Yeah.
So.
I could see
Not
wording wise.
I guess maybe it's
because I saw it too. Like I read it at first too. I'm like, how are people getting this? And then after I bought it, I realized what it's doing. I'm like, okay, I understand what it's doing, but I can see why people are confused.
It's an upgrade, basically. Right?
It is an upgrade.
Yeah,
so,
okay.
Like I can still do it now. Like if I wanted, like, hey, I want to play Diablo right now, I could pay the $30 and play right now. I'm not going to do that.
Yeah, I didn't.
This
bother
is their
to,
final beta
to
test,
either.
in my opinion. So, but yeah, that pretty much wraps up for me. I hopefully the next time that we record, we will probably all be talking about Diablo. So,
for sure.
So, and maybe I'll have the Zelda story done by then. But I will kick it over to you, Dan.
Yeah. So, keeping in line with Zelda, we had talked about this a little bit before, and I don't know why, but there's something about Tears of the Kingdom where I really kind of want to play it. But I'm not going to play it unless I play Breath of the Wild. But
understood.
If we go back to 6 years ago, it never grabbed me, and I couldn't do it. I was like, all right, we're going to do it. We're going to try to force myself into it to get through this game to do it. And man, I've played more now than I did ever before. Probably somewhere around 15 hours or so. Like I've done a decent amount of like running around exploring. I just can't do it. Like there's something about it. I can't do it. And it's a bummer for me because I really wish I could, because there's clearly a great game here and another great game after it. But I came to this realization. I was talking to you about a like 3D Zeldas just are not it for me. I love all of the 2D ones a lot. Like Link's Awakening is my favorite. Even the Game Boy one or the Switch one, because they're the same game, they're just different art styles. Yeah. But both those games are fantastic. I love Minish Cap. I love Link to the Past. I love Link Between Worlds. I think that's a better game than Link to the Past. Like that's such a good like handheld 3DS game, and I would kill for another one of those. But even going back to like Twilight Princess, I did not like, and Skyward Sword, I think I played maybe 30 minutes of it. And Breath of the Wild, like this is 2 times I couldn't do it. And I do like Ocarina of Time, but that might be more so of that was the first one,
It was, yeah.
And I do like, easy. And I do, to be fair, I do like Majora's Mask more than Ocarina of Time. But again, in the same way that Tears is a sequel, like Majora's Mask is just more Ocarina of Time.
It is
in a different way. I still think I'm gonna keep trying just because like it is something to play in between what I'm playing now, like with Diablo coming up and Final Fantasy 16 coming up, like that could be more of a like take a breather kind of a game.
I would pull up a guide and just try to beeline the story as much as possible. Because I think
what I kind of started to do, I think forcing myself to be like, there's a shrine, go do it. There's a shrine, go do it. Or looking for Koroks or all this kind of stuff. I feel like that is taking me away from like just experiencing the game.
I'll be honest, I didn't do much with the Korok stuff in the first game.
Yeah,
it is so overwhelming.
I have the strategy guide, so like I do too. I do have the guide, so I could just bust it out and just kind of be like direct me through it, and that might be what I do just to finish it, or maybe in 10 more hours I just say F it and I play Link's Awakening again just to be happy. But I would love it just on the subject that I would love a Minish Cap remake Link's Awakening style. Like that would be awesome to play that game on a Switch. But Breath of the Wild, like there's just little things about it I just don't like. The weapon system, it's bad. Like I don't.
If you don't like the weapon degrading, it is even worse than that.
But like that's just a dumb idea. It's bad. Or it's not a dumb idea. It's just everything breaks too fast, and there's too many things, and you're constantly juggling between this and that, and this and that, and it's just like why can't I just have a sword that lasts for at least for even a half hour?
Even when you get the Master Sword, and this isn't that big of a spoiler, it has a cooldown. You can't just keep using it.
But that's ridiculous. Like it should be until you get to the Master Sword, and you get the Master Sword, and it's finally like, hey, you did it. And like you could still use, like pikes or clubs if you wanted to, but you always have the Master Sword to fall back to. It's it's a weird system to implement in a game that
it's odd.
Encourages you to like go fight stuff, and like there's always little encounters going on. Like the first time I encountered that NPC where it's like they turn into like those thief things.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, what the fuck is this? Like, it just drops this on you, and those things are ridiculous if you're just running for it. Yeah, they're terrible.
Yeah, they're in the new one too.
Well, I'm not surprised by that, but like the first time I encountered one, I had like 3 weapons on me, and I was like, oh, it's an NPC. I'll see what's happening, and then it's like, well, this sucks now.
Yeah. I didn't run away. To be fair, I literally just ran into one for the first time in this game at like 50 some hours in, so they're very well hidden.
This happened to me in this game in like the first 5.
Well,
like getting off the thing.
If you don't have any hearts, you're gonna get your ass kicked.
It was awful. Away. I'm like, this is just stupid. So now I got to avoid people on the path because I don't know. It really kind of took me out of it, and I was so
I can
and when like you get to the little towns, and it's fun doing like the little things in the towns because people are like, oh, I have a quest and you can go do this little thing, and that's fun. I like the idea of a Zelda game that has quests, but I guess I'll play more, but I'm not going to give it too much more time. You know what I mean?
Understood.
Other than that, I finished Final Fantasy 2 Pixel Remaster. Now having
3,
having finished 2 though, like I actually think that game's better than it gets credit for. The only thing that really holds it back is the weird level up system where like you have to hitting yourself is benefit. Like that kind of stuff doesn't work out well in the long run of that game, but the story of it's actually pretty good. And the map's pretty big and all that kind of stuff. It really just is more Final Fantasy 1 with like a refined story and a different system. But I started 3. 3 is a good one just because it has like the job system where you'll eventually unlock extra jobs and stuff.
Yeah.
I haven't done too much in it, but it's more Final Fantasy and just playing through it. And then the main thing I played, and I say main thing because it was really Breath of the Wild. I did play a lot of Phantasy Star Online too the past like 2 weeks for some reason. I don't know. I guess I'm just trying to finish the trophies and stuff in that game, but I like Phantasy Star Online, but you can tell that they're kind of done with it. Like they're still putting out content stuff you can buy and whatever, but not like actual missions or story or any of that kind of stuff. But it's always a fun game to play, and they really haven't done much with that new Genesis thing.
I want to play that Honkai Star Rail game.
Well, I do want to. I want to play that. Yeah, I'm going to play that too.
I'm waiting for PS5 though.
Yeah, me too. I played a lot of Genshin Impact, and this is just that.
At this point, I've decided instead of going back to Genshin, I'm just going to wait for this one.
Yeah, I thought about going back to Genshin a while ago, but I just at this point I'll just wait. But the other game I played, I only played about an hour of it, was Killer Frequency,
which we both
bought.
I have not opened mine yet.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's pretty cool. I'll talk about it a little bit of what's going on because it's not really a spoiler because you have to play it in like the first half hour that I played.
It's in the trailer.
Yeah, it's in the trailer. So yeah, basically
what the game is.
You're a guy who works at a radio station in like the mid '80s. You used to work in Chicago and now you work in this like podunk town. Where nobody listens to the radio. You work the 12 to 6 a.m. shift.
Love it.
Fantastic.
At a station called The Scream, and it's awesome. It's kind of dumb because it leans into this horror stuff, but it's an interesting concept because like you're the guy in the little booth and you have to like put on records and add tapes and you can mix the soundboards and you take calls.
That's cool.
And as you take the calls, you get like a dialogue box tree that comes up and you have to help people. You have like your girl in the booth across from you. And she's like the one who like feeds you the calls and kind of teaches you how to play. Okay. So the setup is the first call you get that night is from the 911 operator in the town. And she calls you because the sheriff is dead. He's been murdered. And the deputy's been knocked out and like locked in a cell, and you have to kind of like guide her through, or help her. She's like calling to ask you because she can't call out of the town. Something's wrong where like you can only call locally, and she's telling you that she has to leave town to go to the nearest town, which she said is like 2 hours away. So it's kind of weird because it doesn't make any sense. But to get help, and she's gonna forward all the 911 calls to you. Because there's a serial killer on the loose and his name is the Whistling Man, and he kind of like, and you hear it like whistle and stuff, and you can hear him like while she's talking to you, you hear the whistling come over the phone.
Oh shit!
Because he's there, so you have to like guide her through. She'll be like, I can either do this or this or this. What do you think I should do? And you have to pick the right answer.
You have to be the one to tell her.
Right. So hers is pretty straightforward because it's kind of like teaching you how to do it, right? Yeah. And eventually, she gets away, and from now it's game on. Where if anybody calls 911, they get directed to you, and you have to tell. And so the first call you get, and then again, this isn't really a spoiler because I won't, because clearly people can die if you fuck up. Like that's part of the game, and so basically it's a woman who's like, I came into town to go to this like festival or something, but there's this guy following me, and like you hear the whistling on the phone.
Oh no.
And you're like, oh shit. Right. And she's like, I'm in my car, but I lost my keys.
Okay.
So I have to figure like I have to get out of here. But so one of the things you can tell her is like, why don't you just go get your keys? Because she's like, she dropped it in the parking lot.
Dead.
Like she would die if I did that, I assume. And
dead.
but then she's like, I need to find a way to start this car without my keys. And she goes, I have a toolkit somewhere in the car. I'll call you back when I find it. And you're like, okay.
Oh, no.
So then like she hangs up, and you talk to the woman in the booth, like Peggy, and she's like, well, there's a car like tip line thing we have. That's another show on this network. And maybe they have something you help. So you can get up and you can actually explore like the office.
The station?
Yeah.
Okay.
So you can walk around and like go to the offices, and eventually I found you find like clues. So basically how it's going to work is people are going to call in needing to get away from this guy, and you're going to find clues in the station to help you do it. Okay. So what I was able to find was like how to hotwire a car magazine. and it's like a puzzle thing where basically she has to do these things in order. If this happens, you have to do this or this or this or this, and it's going to keep her alive or kill her. So it's really cool because in the meantime, like, you know, when she hangs up the phone, Peggy's like, why don't you play a record? So I have to go and take a record out of my thing, put it on the thing, hit play, mix it up, mix it down. You can introduce the records. It's really bizarre because there's a lot of stuff going on at one time. You can tell it was a VR game at one point because I read that it was.
And it was being developed as one.
Yeah, for sure. Because the way everything works is like it's very much like look around, look down, pick stuff up, put stuff over here. Fine. It's okay once you get used to the controls. Yeah, it clearly like this is a game that would be better in VR for sure because you could like reach out, pick stuff up, and push the buttons. Because I find like pushing the buttons is somewhat difficult because you have to like be kind of precise where you're aiming. But it's fine. It's not taking me out of the game, but there's definitely like tension in the game. It's creepy. The first before you even get like into the studio, the tutorial section is like walk down the alley, and you're like, okay. And you're just walking down this alley. It's like, here's how you pick stuff up. And you get halfway down the alley. Here comes the whistling. Oh no. And I'm like, oh shit. And you walk through this door and then you go in the door, the other door is locked and the lights go out. And you hear the whistling again. Oh no. And then the door slowly opens behind you. Oh my God. And then like clearly I'm not playing as the radio guy because you get jumped by that whistling man. He is creepy looking for sure. Awesome. And he's also like the legend of the town is 30 years ago he killed like a dozen people. But he died. His body fell into the river. That's all you get.
Or did it?
Or exactly, but like that's the cool part of the game because like it is only rated teen, so it's not like a slasher like kind of. Yeah,
it's not gonna go.
It's a puzzle. It's a puzzle game, and like, but it is tense because sometimes when you're like reacting to a dialogue tree, it's timed.
Okay.
So it's like you have to do this quick, and like I'm on like the third person now, where it's like the guy's trapped in a building, and he faxed me plans for the building, and now I gotta kind of like help him out.
Do you have any idea like how long the game is?
It's weird because when it starts off, it very clearly is like your shift starts at midnight, right? Like it cuts to this thing says 12 a.m. Yeah. So I thought maybe it would be Five Nights at Freddy's like where like it would slowly like tick up, and you only had a certain amount of time to do everything. It's not like that because after I did like the first two, then it splashed on the screen 12:42 a.m. So it's kind of like cases happen at a certain time. I want to say based on the trophy list, there's probably like 10 or 11 of these that you kind of have to solve. I would assume they progressively get harder and like trying to find the clues around the station and stuff. I really like it. It's cool. It probably doesn't have too much replayability after once you beat it, just because maybe the games change a little bit.
Is there any like trophy that's like, you know, beat it without anyone dying?
Oh yeah. Yeah. There's one for that. There's also one where I think everyone dies. Yeah. Okay. There's a couple other like specific ones where it's like you have a soundboard, so you can play a soundboard during the call, where it's just like a drum roll and shit. So you get a call pretty early on, which is clearly like a prank from some guy who's like heavy breathing into the phone. He's like, I'm back and you have to give me what I want, and I want a pizza and this other thing. And you're like, so I just started playing every sound effect during the call. Awesome. That's good. Yeah, so it's kind of fun. There's like hidden stuff to find. Yeah. There's a cool thing on the two where on the wall there's a giant map of the town, which I would assume I'm going to have to use at some point, where it's like go left down this street or whatever. Yeah. But it also comes with like little push pins and markers, so like you can pick those up and put them on the map. Okay. So maybe that's going to help me at some point. I don't know. The first two have been pretty basic. Okay. But I really like it. It gives me, I was telling you before, it gives me really like Arcade Paradise vibes, where it's just kind of a it's weird to say it's like a chill game because it's a suspense like thriller kind of a thing.
Yeah.
But
Arcade Paradise was very much a chill
the style of the game, like it's very 80s.
It's not made by the same people.
No. It's made by Team 17. The guys make like Worms and stuff.
Oh, okay.
But it's I really like this game. It's cool.
Okay.
You know, I don't play a ton of like what I guess you would call like indie stuff, just because it's hard to find the time to play a lot of that stuff these days. But
yeah,
if it has a good idea behind it, I'm willing to give it a shot.
This seems like it's a good idea.
And I like puzzles and I like thriller type stuff. And this is kind of like you get to play. It's almost like an escape room too, where you find the clues and put it together. And like there's a basketball hoop or a waste bucket you can throw paper balls into. It's like that's clearly like that's ER part of the game.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's really fun. It's only I think like $30, right?
Yeah, it's only
you can get it digital or physical.
I think digital it might be 25.
Maybe. I mean, it's the kind of thing where like if it seems like a cool premise to you, watch the trailer and just wish list it because it'll go on sale at some point.
Absolutely.
But this is just one of those games like Arcade Paradise where I really wanted a physical copy of it just because I feel like
it's on everything.
Yeah, it's on everything.
You can get on Switch.
Yeah.
Like
it's not a graphically intensive game by any means.
No.
But it's cool. It's fully voice acted. There's clearly like a backstory to your character, which they have not revealed why I got shit canned in Chicago and now work at this podunk town.
So I'll say this: if you have PlayStation Plus, and this is just PlayStation, and you buy it between now and the 14th of June, it is $20.
That's totally worth it.
So
it's a great.
And then it goes up to 25
yeah.
digitally. So
yeah, fun game.
Maybe you're the Whistler.
Ooh,
no, I don't. That would be cool, but I don't know how that would work. But yeah, it's clearly at some point too. Like I guess maybe it's like a spoiler, but maybe not because I don't know. But like clearly he's coming to the radio station at some point.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, so I mean, clearly I'm going to have to do something, but yeah, it's cool. It's a really fun game. Interesting one-off little thing I felt like I could get done before Diablo because I'll probably play it the next couple days and just get through it.
Sure.
And it goes on the shelf and it's just a cool game I own that exists at a time and something they could easily do more of. Different time periods, all different kinds of stuff. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's it for me.
How about you, Matt?
Okay. So I jumped more into Tales of Iron.
Okay.
So, I talked a little bit about it last week or last session. But getting into it now, I think I'm about like another 2 hours into it. And it's actually a lot of fun. It was a PS Plus game last month, so I think you should still be able to grab it if you want to. It's kind of puzzling. Like you have to go through a certain a map. You're given a map of each space you're in, and you kind of have to go through each one to find something different. But you're fighting frogs who are trying to take out the rat population. So it's actually frogs and bugs. Right now my little rat dude just got a bow and arrow, so now I'm like bow and arrow and shit, which is pretty dope. And dude, so I was playing it and I was listening to some of the dialogue, and they speak like rats. So like when the rats are talking, they're like squeaking. They're like,
yeah,
and like you see like pictures come up in the dialogue box of what they're kind of talking about.
Okay,
and in my head, I thought to myself, wow, this dialogue is so much more gripping than Atomic Hearts. And that's all I could think about. I was like, golly. And
that's good.
There are a bunch of different weapons. When I first started off, you had a sword. Right now, I have a spear. And I think at one point, he has like another pike type thing.
Okay.
What are those things that knights use? Not knights.
Like a halberd?
Joust. The joust. Like a fucking joust. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he has one of those. And that's what I'm using right now. It's actually pretty dope. But it's a lot of fun. I'm hoping that I don't believe it's very long at all. So I mean, I'm hoping that maybe I can breeze through it in the next 2 weeks and kind of tell more about it. And then I downloaded Car Mechanic Simulator for
Game Pass. Oh yeah.
Dude, I was so excited, man. I've been waiting for that to drop. I was actually gonna buy it, and then I read that it jumped on Game Pass, and I was like,
"Is that the most? It's called 2021, so is that the most recent one?" Or
no? I think there was a 2022 that dropped. Okay. I would assume it wasn't the most recent one, but there's a whole shit ton of DLC for it though. Like,
okay,
and the DLC is like I think like $3 or $4, really.
That's not bad.
Yeah, so I don't know if I'll buy any of the DLC, but I am like super stoked to dive into it because like I played through the tutorial, and I right now I'm tearing down the first vehicle that they brought to the shop, and it's just very like I don't know, it's like a big puzzle, you know, like tearing down an entire car and then putting that shit back together again. It's a lot of fun so far, so I'm hoping to get into that too. And then that's it. And then, you know, Diablo pops off, and then we'll all be in that world for a little while.
The one other thing I'll throw out there, because I just remembered it, is with the excitement of Mortal Kombat 1 being announced, they were selling the Ultimate Edition of MK11 on the PlayStation for like $8 or $9. But I never bought any of those characters. So I picked that up and installed that. I mean, it carries over like your stats and stuff, but does not carry your save. So if you would have to play through the story again, if you wanted to, I'm not going to, cause I don't care. But, I did mess around a little bit with that just to try like RoboCop. That's the one that has RoboCop, Terminator.
Yeah.
All very, very well done.
They always do like they've done the guest character thing better than like
most
pretty much anyone's ever done.
Do that.
Sure. Other than like Soul Calibur 2, I can't think of a game that actually had good guest characters, because Soul Calibur 2 had Link, for God's sake.
Well, they even got like the voices. Like they have Schwarzenegger's voice for Terminator. They have what's his name voice for RoboCop. They have Stallone's fucking voice for Rambo.
They don't have asset stuff for sure. That's why I'm excited for 1 and like Peacemaker and
if that's Homeland. Which I think
it pretty much got like confirmed on that Amazon like Italy listing for the DLC or whatever.
And like again, you think about it, like in a world where they're not going to put Superman in an M-rated fighting game, you have Injustice for that. You can fucking put Homelander in this game.
You know, you can put Peacemaker too, man. Like,
damn,
he fits think about like that. So well.
So, but yeah, it's. I bought that just because, I mean, I have the PS4 version. I can put it in, get the PS5 upgrade, do all that. But I was like, it's $9. I get literally everything they put out for it. Yeah. Even that expansion story, which I never played, which maybe at some point I'll play that expansion story, because I heard that was pretty good. And that was kind of a weird thing for them to do. They've never done that before.
Right. Yeah. Well, it's, you know, and it seems like it's actually, you know, even though, you know, 1 isn't a sequel, even though we know it is, like, it seems like it's kind of important to that.
At this point, so I just want to throw it in because that was the one random thing I did this week. Was I was like, $9 is absurd. So, and I saw like with that announcement that shot up to like the charts on both those digital storefronts.
For sure.
And, like people are like, I want to play the last one now.
Well, I mean, and that's why they don't care. Like they're just getting the last bit of money they can out of 11, because
absolutely
once 1 comes out, people aren't buying 11 anymore.
Absolutely.
But 11 was so solid, man. Like, I mean, it's
such a good game.
Yeah,
it's one of the,
but we'll go ahead and transition into news. We have a lot of news. We're going to start with the PlayStation showcase. We actually have an email about it. This is not the only email we got about the PlayStation showcase. It's just the one that I picked. This comes from Brian from Norfolk, Virginia. He says, "Howdy, dudes. How disappointing was Sony's state of play? Coming off the heels of all the bad swings Microsoft has had, with Redfall being a disaster, the blows the ABK deal received, this should have been an easy slam dunk for Sony, and instead they left many questioning just as much as before going in. I'll put it this way. I went into this wanting to know what Sony has planned after Spider-Man, and after it was over, I still want to know what Sony is planning to do after Spider-Man. What happened to big titles that Bend has been working on? Or how about Naughty Dog, Blue Point? Hey, a Snake Eater remake sure is nice, but you know what's better? Gameplay. Spider-Man 2 looks tremendous, but my God, how many more CGI trailers do we have to sit through at these things?"
Yeah.
So that'll kind of preface the Sony state of play. I was pretty negative on it. I don't know.
It was the kind of thing where, like, just like as it was going on, you're kind of like, okay, well, they haven't really shown me anything I care about yet, and then it's just
let's kick it off with what it started with.
Just go in order.
One of their many, and this is a thing that Sony's really dipping their feet into. Live service games.
They're pushing it so hard.
They're pushing it really hard because if you look on the flip side of it, this is what Microsoft's done the last 4 or 5 years with games like Grounded and stuff. So Sea of Thieves, here, they haven't done any of that. So they kicked it off with a game called Fair Games with a $, which is just a heist
awful
game.
Name. Yeah.
All CG. I couldn't tell you what the game actually, like what you're actually doing.
It looks like it's like
other than
PvE, right?
Yeah. Right, but again, it was CG, so who knows? I couldn't care less about.
I have almost zero interest in it. And that's the kind of thing where like showing me that just makes me go, "All right, they are making a Payday 3."
That's why I texted you this week. I was like, "You'll play Payday 3, right?"
I'll play Payday 3.
Yeah, I'm not interested in this bullshit. So
as long as it's got the Payday 2 soundtrack, I'll play Payday 3 for days.
It started with this,
and then that was like the opener. That was bad opener.
And I mean, we could go through it game by game, but the thing I'll say just off the bat, like a lot of indie games.
I left it just going like, man, that was a waste of time.
It was like
did that have to be an hour?
Do you know what? Like, and it ended with Spider-Man, and we can even go into Spider-Man looks tremendous. I don't need to see any more of that game.
You knew that. Like the thing, the problem is we all knew that. And this is it's the same thing they did with the first one, where like they give us 10 minutes. Like the first one, they did the raft escape, awesome.
Yeah.
This one they do like chasing down the lizard and Kraven and stuff is there too.
Yeah,
great. And like showing the symbiote suit, which is like the big reveal of like, yes, you will be playing in the suit. It's not because until this point it was just Spider-Man and Miles versus Venom is what we knew.
Now you know.
So now you know, like you will have the suit, which is
Yeah.
great, and like obviously he's a very hard man in the suit, which is all lining up with what I expect. And like I love Kraven to death, so I'm excited for that.
It's going to be interesting to see that storyline told with Miles Morales being
right, and that's the cool part. Because they did say. This is kind of getting ahead of it, but you'll be able to, in free roam or just like exploring, you'll be able to switch between the two of them at any time.
It's like GTA 5.
It's like GTA 5. But during the story, they will say you are Peter at this point, you are Miles at this point, which
makes sense.
Fine. That's how it probably has to be. That's fine if I'm playing story missions. But you knew Spider-Man was going to be there, and you knew it was going to be the big thing, and you knew it was probably going to be the closer. What else was there? Just go in order, because like
I'll go down. Unfortunately, the list I have here is not in order.
No, I put up a different
one. Through.
I put up another.
You did put up a different one. All
open
right,
the other one.
Let's see. Okay, I see.
Yeah, do that one.
All right. But yeah, it was very lackluster. There was a big focus on indie games, which like again, I have no problem with indie games, but I think they have their time and place.
Sure.
At a main line, like
at
we're
a state of
play, the next thing for PlayStation.
Because remember, this is different. This isn't a state of play like hey, let's hang out for 25 minutes.
Yeah.
This is a PlayStation quote unquote showcase.
And the other thing I'll say, and it'll become apparent as we go through these games, it wasn't only that, it was also, and this I thought was fantastic, almost all third-party games, to the point that after the showcase, Microsoft tweeted out a picture. Hey, all these games are coming to Xbox,
and it's all of the ones
with all of those games.
It's all the ones that probably shouldn't have.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is bizarre.
We'll go down the list. Helldivers 2, which I actually am excited about.
That should have opened.
It should have opened it, and it looks like a huge improvement over the first one.
It looks like a different
full game.
Yes.
It does not look like an indie game.
Which this one I'm actually kind of interested in, but that should have been the opener.
It should have. I agree. Not Fair Games.
Right.
Immortals of Avium, which is like that new EA original. Again, I don't have anything against this game, but it's a third-party game.
I think it looks.
I've already seen it.
I think it looks dumb as hell.
I think it's going to be a 6 or 7 middle of the road game.
I think it'll be Anthem.
It's single player only.
Nobody, I know, but I'm thinking like, who's going to give a shit about this game? It's a terrible
Ghost Runner 2, which fine, sure. Like Ghost Runner 1 is a cool game, but again, that's not an exclusive game.
But it is. I do think of it as a PlayStation game, and it does look awesome. So like this is a good one to have here too.
Fair.
Yeah.
I played it on PC, so
sure. But I think of it as a PlayStation game when I think of it.
The one that a lot of people were talking about, and then I think we even have some news articles after this that we'll kind of talk more about, but Phantom Blade Zero, which people were going nuts for. Yeah. But then after the showcase, people really started picking apart the trailer and going,
people blew up about this game. Here. And I just remember it coming up on the screen and me going, wow, another like samurai style game? Like, yeah, that's a genre now. We're pumping out like 5 of these in a couple years. Yeah, like
it is.
If it ain't Tenchu, I don't want it, man. I'm sorry.
Good point.
The developers of Journey is making a new game called Sword of the Sea, which just had a guy look like he was like skateboarding through the sand.
It looks like
surfing through the sand.
It looks like Journey.
Looks like Journey. Yeah.
The guy makes the same game every time.
The Talos Principle too. Sure, fine.
Sure,
not
okay.
exclusive.
No.
This Neva game, which was like the trying to be a tearjerker indie game, is what I would call it. One of my personal favorite, just fucking
fuck this
ridiculous.
This is stupid.
Square Enix has decided to make Splatoon.
Yes,
and it's called Foam Stars.
And this
is yet again another live service game. It's just fucking Splatoon. That's all I have.
I cannot see that game lasting longer than a month.
No, absolutely not. People will try it for two
because
reasons.
It's Splatoon.
One, it's a Square Enix game, and two, it's Splatoon.
Right, but when they realize, it's a bad version of that,
they'll just go play Splatoon 3.
Yes.
The Plucky Squire, which is just a Devolver Digital indie game.
It looks
Teardown,
cool. Like
fine, but another indie game. The big one, obviously, this has been heavily rumored for a long time. Metal Gear Solid Snake Eater is being remade from the ground up. The thing I'll throw out here, and we don't have to talk about it after, is they are having the original voice actors, but then it came out after. They're just lifting the original voice actors.
They have all the audio stuff.
And that's fine. That is perfectly fine.
Yeah. I don't expect them to go out and get all these guys to come back and do it again. And like
they did after the showcase put out screenshots of the game, and like it does look incredible. So
sure. But it's but CGI trailer.
A little bit of that here,
CGI trailer. You couldn't have shown me 5 minutes of him walking through the first part of that jungle or something anything.
Yeah, so
and a lot of people were complaining too. It's like, why are they remaking this one? It's like, because it's probably the best choice to do. Because you and I had a long discussion about this where
it's probably the best choice, because if you're gonna remake them at this point, remake them in the chronological order.
Number one, do that, but number two, you kind of probably need to release them in the order that makes the most sense. Like one's already been remade, which they'll remake it again. I know they will. But
they will.
You're not going to remake 2 because that's too jarring of a game where people.
Well, and clearly
people appreciate it now. But
the other thing about this announcement was after this fall, you will get a collection that has 1, 2, and 3, and then the old NES games.
Sure.
And the 2 and 3 are the HD collection versions from 2011, which is fine.
But isn't this just them re-releasing this after they delisted the old version of that?
They delisted a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
So
to be fair, they're probably never going to remake 4.
They can't because of the cell processor, or it's not possible.
It's going to be they would have to remake that game, not remaster it or like up it or anything like that. Like that would have to be.
I just don't think that that's going to happen.
No,
unfortunately.
Right.
So, I'll be honest. This next one, I don't even remember seeing Towers of Agispa.
I don't know.
Sure.
Honestly, I saw it and it reminded me a lot of Link, like Breath of the Wild type thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know what?
I was
kind
of like out of it. I was like, nah, like we already got a game like that right now. That's
better.
Nah.
Final Fantasy 16. I mean, sure, but we know so much about it at this point. It's out in like 3 weeks.
Also, couldn't that have opened the show?
Easily,
to get it out of the way and just be like, hey, just a reminder, in 2 weeks this comes out, or 3 weeks this comes out, like
easily. Alan Wake 2, which we have more to talk about Alan Wake 2 and we'll get to it, but they did put a release date on this, which is October 17th.
It looks incredible.
It looks fantastic. I cannot wait. This is one of my most
You know what the cool thing is like the first one is a very good game and it's like spooky and stuff. This game looks fucking terrifying.
It does. It looks like what they.
Yeah.
It looks like what they really wanted to go for with the first game.
Sure.
They just couldn't because of constraints.
Right.
Of the,
the first one was built more around like
show this thing with like 6 arms and stuff. Like
like shit.
They also revealed there's another character you play as. And then I'm sure you caught it. I caught it. The one other cop is literally just that Sam Lake guy.
Yep.
And I just laughed when I saw it.
It's good.
It's good. October 17th. I can't wait for that. Assassin's Creed Mirage, this new like kind of throwback to classic Assassin's Creed, October 12th.
They went a little too hard on the throwback because it literally just looks like the fucking first game.
It does.
And I'm okay with that.
I'm okay with it, but I'm okay with it, but even graphically, it was like, this doesn't look probably as good as it should, right?
That is one thing I will say. I did read a lot of comments where people were like, so they just redid 1? Is that what we did? Like,
it just doesn't. I was
like, yeah, you're kind of right. It does
after Origin and Odyssey, and like this just doesn't look as good as it should.
I told Matt this is my Black Friday game this year.
That's a good one to get. Yeah, for sure. $30.
Like $30, maybe even 25.
Well, because like we know for sure, like just as experience, like Assassin's Creed games go on when they go on sale, they go on fucking sale. Like they drop to like $25-$30.
Well, even like the gold playing Odyssey.
Yeah,
I got that fucking deluxe edition for like $20, and I was like, "That's bananas."
Yeah, and if you're willing to be patient with those games, you can easily pay almost nothing for them.
Oh,
comparatively.
But yeah, they showed that. They gave that a date. Revenant Hill, which is like maybe a quasi sequel to that Night in the Woods game. I watched somebody this week go on a tangent about this game because it basically was like, what is this game? Like at the end of the trailer, like what did you get out of it?
Nothing.
Like what will you be doing?
You got that it is a game made by those people because look at this cat. That's what you got.
One of the biggest surprises of this show, I did not expect to see
this.
This
was nuts.
I am super happy I saw it.
So
Dragon's
weird.
Dogma 2. And it's just more Dragon's Dogma, but like it looks fantastic. They did come out. The one bummer is they did come out and say there is no multiplayer, which is a bummer because you would think that
they could have
given how the game works, like
right.
the first one, you could have done that now. Still, I can't wait. I cannot wait for this game. So it was cool to see.
It's cool that it exists.
They did go through some VR stuff. Resident Evil 4 is getting a VR mode. The only thing I'll say about that it is free to people who own Resident Evil 4.
Sure, but
so it's not a standalone.
That's another one of those things where it's like, yeah, no duh, they're making that game. I get it.
4 people that have a PSVR will be very happy to play that game. The most bizarre of everything at this entire showcase, Bungie is remaking Marathon. Now it did come up after. I did not know this until after the showcase. It is a remake, but it is a live service.
Yes, it's a live service. What do they call it?
And it is not exclusive.
No, well, that was the biggest thing where it's like, so what did you buy Bungie for? Because Destiny, I could get maybe a year 2 in to ever like cut that off from other things. That's fine. That's an existing franchise. Marathon hasn't existed in decades.
So it wouldn't matter if you.
But it's just what is it's an extraction shooter too. Like, do we need that? Is that what that game needs to be?
Of course, we need that.
It's another one of those things where like I think maybe because I
was excited when I first saw it, and then when I found that information out after, I was like, well, I can write that off.
But you know what? Maybe it is a time for it because people fucking hate Overwatch now.
Maybe
like Overwatch is dying. Because they finally just put that final nail in the coffin where they're like, hey, that thing we promised you, the whole point of this game, fuck that. Yeah, so we're not doing it. I think Marathon could maybe catch an audience, but what did you buy Bungie for?
Yeah, it's a bizarre move to have that not be exclusive.
Yeah.
Another VR game called Concord. I'm not even going to go into it. Concord. It's another VR game.
No, it's not. It's a game.
It's not a VR game.
No, it's a game.
It is a game.
But it showed nothing.
Okay.
It showed like the inside of a spaceship and a bad looking burger like bouncing around in a box. I was like, okay.
Cool.
I don't know what that is.
They spent time showing the fucking trailer for the Gran Turismo movie, which like I don't think it looks good.
Does that need to be here?
Does that here? Like I don't need any trailers for movies at these shows. Let's talk about the biggest fucking disaster of this show.
Oh man,
the dumbest thing in a long time that Sony has done, in my opinion, and that is Project Q, which is their handheld streaming device. It's been rumored for a while. Here it is. As we saw many memes after the showcase, it is basically a Wii U tablet for the PlayStation.
Yeah,
you have to have your PS5 on. You are streaming from your PS5.
To a DualShock with an 8-inch screen in the middle. And those controllers...
Who is it for? Who is this for?
Those controllers already don't have good battery life. And now you're going to put a screen in it.
I think we read the expected life, like battery life is 4 hours, which equals to about 2.5.
Yeah, 2.5 to 3 maybe.
Who is this item for, though?
I don't know.
You're not going to travel with it and then have your PlayStation just be on while you're gone.
You can't. You can't. Somebody else can't use the PlayStation when you're using it. The PlayStation can't be in like rest mode, because if the TV gets changed to a different input or something, it'll turn your system off.
There's too many negatives about it for this thing to work.
It has to be at least $300.
It can't be any cheaper than that, because the screen is clearly an OLED screen.
The controller is $75.
Yeah, and it's clearly a DualSense.
I just don't understand it, because I just what
they couldn't even commit to a real name for this thing yet, but they want to launch it this fall.
It looks and sounds stupid.
Project Q.
Well, and the thing is you can't install a game to it, so you can't play anything off of it. It's going to have memory in it so that it can run the screen. That's it.
Mm-hmm. That's it.
It's just obviously you can't use it with VR. That makes sense, but the problem I have with this is, if this is what you want to do, right? You want to stream PlayStation games to a device that you could hold in your hands.
Get a backbone.
There are 2 options for you already, and you already own one of them. One of them's a phone, and the other one is a Steam Deck.
Yeah.
So, what is this?
So, what is this thing?
A Steam Deck can not only play PlayStation games, but computer games.
Mm-hmm.
So, wouldn't you rather just spend the extra money to get one of those? Right. I don't get it. And Steam Decks are going to play fucking Xbox games at some point soon.
Yeah. Yeah.
What is the point of this?
It's a disaster of
the thing is, there are people that will buy it, and there are people that will use it, because there's always a subset of people that like this stuff, but I don't know. I don't think I know a single person who's interested in it.
No, it just seems.
It really makes no sense, though, that you have to have your PS5 on, and it's has to be on and running on the TV for you to play this thing. That just seems
just mirroring off of the TV.
Exactly.
The benefit would be, I could be in my bedroom playing it in my bed. I guess so. I guess so. Is that what you want? Is that what people wanted?
I just don't get it.
Maybe this is for the person who's using the toilet and doesn't want to stop playing the game.
It just has to be, for it to make any sense, it has to be cheap. And it's not going to be.
Not at all.
They
announced some PlayStation branded earbuds too. I don't sure.
Those are fine. That at least I understand. And people could buy those because they're just Bluetooth earbuds. You can just connect them to anything. So fine. Okay.
And then Spider-Man 2 obviously closed the show.
Sure, of course. We knew that.
Obviously, nobody has anything bad to say about Spider-Man 2. So
people are trying to just be assholes about it. Be like, it looks the same and blah. But it's what I mean.
My only complaint about Spider-Man 2 is you really still couldn't commit to a fall date. Just fall 2023.
Yeah, that's a little weird. I'm a little surprised they weren't just pre-order today. Because you would think they would want to lock that shit in now.
The only thing I wonder is if, obviously, originally it was rumored for September. We got the Starfield date. I think this game could still come out in September and be fine. But then we got Mortal Kombat also being we're in September too. And I wonder if they were we got to think about this. So maybe they pushed it to October. So, but again, it's still going to be this fall. It's still their big holiday game, regardless of when they put it out. So, but yeah, overall, just what a fucking disappointing.
I remember it ending and me being like, man, that wasn't very good. And then reading about the stuff and thinking about it going, no, it actually sucked because everything's missing. everything is missing. Like he said in his email, like Bend. Like, where was Bend?
Apparently they have a new game that's ready to go, like ready to be shown.
But remember, like they're also the ones that were like, we want to make Days Gone 2 until Sony told them to fuck off.
You know, the other thing that's weird is like, they showed 10 minutes of Spider-Man, but then look at all the information that's come out of that game after the showcase. Like how you're going to switch between. Why couldn't they have talked about that there? Why did they have to come out after?
Because the PlayStation Showcase was just a way for what's the guy's name? The Sony guy. I'm blanking.
Oh, Jim Ryan.
Jim Ryan. Okay, that was just an hour long, like him stroking his fucking ego. Check this shit out. Look at this. We're gonna change the fucking game with the Wii U
Project
tablet.
Q. Like you probably can't even comprehend what.
Like, and then I can't imagine what it would be like to be in a room with him after it was over, and everybody was like, "Yeah, that was like a C- show at best." He was probably fucking flipping tables over.
Yeah,
somebody got fired. Like, come on.
Oh, I'm sure.
Oh, for sure.
I just what a disappointing showcase. It made the thing that's funny is like going into this Microsoft one, it's set even more hype for it, but it's also like it's made their job very easy. They could easily top this.
I wouldn't. You know what though?
So
I wouldn't bet any money.
Also somehow have a worse.
I would not bet any money on this thing being better than Sony's show because they have Microsoft. It's much as Sony fucked this up, and they haven't had one of these kind of shows in like 18 months. Microsoft has done jack shit.
A lot of
like literally nothing for years.
Yeah, for sure. But the only other thing I'll say, and we'll move on, is we do also have, and people are forgetting, between now and Xbox show, June 8th is the Keighley stuff. So they could have easily pulled stuff from Sony.
There's definitely stuff that got pulled for there, and we all know that like the Keighley thing's gonna have 20 minutes of whatever Kojima's doing.
The Keighley thing will easily be, if there is anything about Death Stranding 2, it will be there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or or whatever the Xbox game is. There's gonna be plenty of stuff that shows up there that is not that was pulled from, like Mortal Kombat will probably be there. Just because like they have a good relationship. There's gonna be a lot of weird indie shit there too, but he is the only person left doing this stuff, so he is the one who gets all the reveals.
He does,
So, which is fine. I mean, he does E3 by himself. Okay,
and that's fine.
Yeah,
he refused to let it die.
God, I don't know how the hell he kept it alive.
Final Fantasy 16 will not have a day one patch. They are confident it is polished enough, and then it also apparently has a pretty crazy, like, hardcore New Game Plus mode.
I'm super... Yeah, I told you, I am into that.
Yeah.
Like, remixes the game, like, changes stuff.
Yeah, it's a cool idea.
It's a cool idea. Hey, and just because something doesn't have a day one patch doesn't mean it doesn't have a day two patch. Like,
that's very real. I was like, that's what I thought, too. I'm like, yeah, but I have a day one patch, but, like, maybe day 7?
That game
like, a week from
will
now?
be
like,
patched relatively soon.
Many times.
Yes, many times.
Another big thing that came out after the showcase, Alan Wake 2 is the first big like AAA studio game to go digital only that we've seen. They have put their flag in the sand. They have explained why they're going digital for the game. Now it is interesting. After I want to say it was THQ Nordic.
They were like, we'll do it
on Twitter, and we're like, we'll help you make physical copies of the game.
Yeah.
So it's still kind of up in the air if that's going to happen or not.
But it came out like there's clearly demand for it, and it makes me reconsider buying that as a launch title. Like, I don't feel I get it. I know why you do, because you have a legitimate reason where like owning something digitally makes sense, because you need two versions of things sometimes.
Depends on what it is.
Sure,
She's
but like
play this game.
but like that makes sense. And so maybe buying something digitally at full price day one has logic behind it for you. But someone like me, a single player game, digital only day one, I don't need that, because I have other stuff to play, and I can wait till it's $20. And to be honest, the real reason I'm pissed is because I told you right after it happened, I said, well, great, Control 2 is digital only.
Yeah.
And that kind of pisses me off. Like,
For me, I mean, I can go down that like digital for me. Like I did Diablo digitally, and that's because I have 2 Xboxes that game share between them for my girlfriend and I. Right. So I don't need to.
There's
buy
logic to that.
Diablo.
Right.
There's a logic. Like as I explained to the GameStop cashier when I was canceling my pre-order, like I don't need to buy 2 copies of this game now. So there's no reason I would be a fool to do that.
But it's a bummer, especially if
it's a bummer,
especially when another company's like, "We'll help you do it." Because
it's a bummer. I mean, I'm still gonna play the game day one because I can't wait for the game. But I saw it as a bummer because I'm like, why?
I'll wait for the inevitable because it's October. I'll wait for the inevitable PlayStation Christmas Days sale where all of a sudden it's $30 or $35.
I did not add this in the news, and I should have, and I'm gonna put it in here now because it kind of goes with this, at least genre wise. With this game coming out, the Alone in the Dark remake.
Oh yeah,
now has
wow.
But that's not the crazy part of it. The crazy part of it is that game stars and you play as David Harbour from Stranger Things.
So weird.
As Edward Carnby, and then the chick from Killing Eve is the other main character. You can actually play as either or. From my understanding, they put out a demo. I did actually play the demo. You don't need to play the demo. Let me put it that way. It's 10 minutes of you playing as a little girl running through like a haunted house type situation.
Okay.
Like it doesn't really, and then at the end of it, David Harbour and the chick roll up and they're like, we're going to investigate this house. So, but that reveal, and the thing that's crazy is I went back because I'm like, they showed footage of this game when they first announced it, and they show his character from behind because it's third person. You would have never fucking known who it was. So because they never showed his face in that original footage, but that got dated for October 25th, so I got a good October Halloween spooky season ahead of me this year.
Looks like you're doing streams, buddy.
I will stream one of them. So, YouTube channel, but I'm excited. I'm excited for both these. I will tell you, Alone in the Dark is getting a physical release, so
yeah.
But I just want to throw that. I forgot to put that in here, but that was kind of a big thing because like that dude's Edward Carnby in that game. That's crazy. They put out some info. We already went over the Metal Gear Solid info, so I don't think there's really much more to say of it other than Kojima is not involved in it. Not really a shocker.
Yeah, I mean, it's not. He's not making it. Like Konami isn't, because they got some. Who they get? They got some company to do it. I forget who it was.
There was a weird company that's actually doing it, but yeah, they're not. And they're not even getting the voice actors back. Like we said, they're doing the original audio. So
it's fine.
You don't really need to.
Yeah.
Let's talk about how there is a worse reviewed game than Redfall in 2023. And it is the Lord of the Rings Golem game.
Oh my God.
Which apparently I have watched footage of it. I have watched the Digital Foundry breakdown of this game. It is extremely awful.
It looks worse than PS2 versions of that character.
The worst part about all of this is that this studio that made this game is also contracted to do another Lord of the Rings game.
Damn, guys.
Oh, man.
Someone needs to pull that.
That's going to get pulled.
This game is a fucking disaster from every angle you look at it.
They apologized for it.
They apologized for it. Like Golem looks bad. This is a game that was delayed by like 9 months. And somehow still came out.
I had almost forgotten it existed. I know a lot of people forgot it existed.
My biggest thing about it, like as a Lord of the Rings fan, what is the one character that would be the least interesting to fucking play a video game as?
Shouldn't it? Golem. Wouldn't it make more sense to be like Lord of the Rings Legolas or Lord of the Rings Aragorn or like something like that?
Yeah, like something like that.
Like play as like one of those 3 guys. You could have made that a 3-game trilogy kind of a thing. Yeah. Like that writes itself. Golem.
Yeah.
Crawl around like a little jackass for 4 hours. Like what is it?
I haven't talked to himself for 10 hours. Yeah. That sounds like fun.
Press X to talk to yourself.
Ugh.
Jesus.
Another big thing that was coming out after the Sony conference is the Last of Us multiplayer game was not there. People really expected it to be. They put out a statement just saying, "Hey, we weren't there. We're sorry. We're still working on stuff."
Yeah.
And then after
it came worse. It got a lot worse.
It came out after from Jason Schreier, that game might be close to being canceled at this point.
Yeah,
they have shifted a lot of people off of it to work on presumably whatever The Last of Us 3 is and some other new game we don't know about.
Right.
But The other thing that's weird about this is I read that article is like they contracted Bungie. They own Bungie. They contracted Bungie to look at all these live service games. Why like Bungie has one live service game that had a lot of problems.
But the thing is like Bungie has arguably one of the most popular ones
now
that still runs.
Yeah,
like
that still runs.
Yeah.
And, but they went into it. They looked at this Last of Us game and said it was not shaping up. So
it's just crazy to me because like that game has released like one screenshot. And like the entirety of like this, we're making this. They have that like one screenshot.
I think they announced it back in like fall of 2020.
Yeah,
like not even after that game came out.
It's not even a screenshot. It's like an artist like concept kind of a thing. But
it's weird.
If that game dies, like what are they doing?
It's a really weird situation. The Dolphin emulator Steam release indefinitely postponed after the cease and desist from Nintendo. I mean, this isn't surprising.
No,
Nintendo cracks down on everything.
Well, it gets into the legality of like emulators and ROMs versus preservation. It's like, yeah, man, I get it, but Nintendo also has lawyers, and you probably don't. So, like, there's one company you don't fuck with, dude, and it's them. Because they've proven to you over and over and over again they will destroy you. For any use of anything, they've quote unquote accidentally blocked partnered streams before because they're so hard on shutting this shit off. Like it's crazy to me how much like Nintendo kind of still exists on the internet of like people playing modded versions of games. Because remember that like there was a guy who had like Breath of the Wild modded that like in the multiplayer that got just like nuked from orbit by them. Like they just destroy everything.
We're also talking about the same company that had to patch Tears of the Kingdom twice because we can't have people duplicate things.
Right. They're constantly on top of everything involving their IPs.
We want to be the fun company, but we can't let you have fun.
So exactly. When you try to emulate our stuff on the computer, we're not going to play nice. It's like, well, duh.
Yeah. It was a very non-shocking I'm not surprised this happened.
I'm surprised it took them that long.
Not surprising though. The Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic remake is still in early development. Likely the development was restarted. This has sounded like a disaster for a while.
Well,
do you think this ever makes the light of day at this point? Like, do you think this comes out?
Not in a form you want it to.
Okay.
I bet it comes out as like, hey, it's done, and it just kind of comes out, but I mean, this could end up in Prince of Persia hell, man. Where like,
hey man, that's
you're talking about a game that's not coming out. Prince of Persia Remaster is dead.
I can't believe they came out and recently spoke on it. Like, hey, we're still.
You would think they would just stop talking about it and just let it go.
Yeah, and then just like it's just accepted that's never happened,
right?
But instead of keep talking about it,
KOTOR probably comes out at some point, I would guess, but not in a finished. Like full version
for sure. Sega has announced a summer showcase for Yakuza developer RGG Studio. Obviously they're going to talk about Like a Dragon 8. They're going to talk about maybe they'll talk about new Judgment.
I would love a Judgment announcement.
Awesome. I would love another on June 15th.
I would love
this is after everything.
Yeah, any other like it's not going to the thing about it is it's not going to just be Like a Dragon 8. There's going to be something else.
There'll be something else.
So whether it's a remake of something else or we have like another spinoff of some kind, because like they do a lot of like those mini games and stuff. And those games are great. Like they could easily flesh out something like that in some way, but
they could.
I would assume there's might be a Judgment announcement.
But that's on June 15th, so that's after everything. Yeah. So if you thought you were going to see Like a Dragon at Keighley or at the Xbox Showcase, no, they're going to save it for their own thing, which is fine. Eon, I think that's how you pronounce it. Eon, the makers of that GameCube adapter I have.
Yes.
They made a 64 one. They are now making a Xbox one for the original Xbox. It's just simple plug and play adapter that you can plug in then an HDMI cable to it.
Nice.
It's cool. It is way too fucking expensive.
Yeah. I mean,
it is $179 or $189.
It's expensive.
It's close to $200. Well, that's the thing. Like, I realized after we talked about it, I thought I only paid $100 for that GameCube one. It was $150.
Yeah.
And like that is steep, but you got to remember like there is no better way to hook up a GameCube. The Xbox has ways you can hook it up via HDMI. I have a way I can do
There's
that.
a way you can do it.
I don't need this.
My argument with all this stuff is like people are obsessed with like, man, I got to get my 64 on HDMI or whatever.
You don't want a 64.
They're not meant to do this. Even like PS2s natively are not meant to do this. Like they just they're not built for it. So that's why like for Xbox, I have an Xbox component cable. That's enough for me.
No,
and I have
but
again, I have the correct TV to do it. The GameCube, I have the Nintendo official GameCube component cables.
Really
like
expensive.
the system when it's running on that looks amazing. Like I could for you spent $150 on a thing. I get it because hell, the cable I have is more expensive than that. But well, they have some stupid chip in them.
But I don't have any tube TV.
But yeah, you don't have the right kind of TV. So it's tough because we live in that world where like it's only going to get harder to hook this stuff up. But having to pay $150, $180.
I will tell you, I paid $30 for that other thing. I can't remember the name of the brand. They did the same kind of cable for the PS2, and they did it for the Dreamcast, which I have the Dreamcast one as well. Perfectly fine.
Yeah, I had like a 64. I have like a really basic like HDMI converter for it, which I helped like some family members get set up on like a newer TV. It was like $25. It works. It runs a 64 on HDMI.
Yeah,
TV. The system isn't going to look much better if I spend
like
$150.
For the 2 to 3 times a year I set up an original Xbox, I'm not paying $200.
No,
I just got an old TV.
Yeah, I mean, it might be more worth your time if you're really into like those older systems. Getting a good Sony like Trinitron, tube TV, like that's what I have.
You go really hard, you get one of those PVM TVs.
Well, we can go harder and get like some SCART cables and a board.
Yeah, that's
I think I have a
fucking wild.
But I have one of those big old like component boxes that I just plugged everything into. And
like an old switch. Yeah, I've got an old. I
used to have one of those.
Intech used to make really good ones. We would sell them constantly, like Game Crazy, because you could hook up like 6 systems to them, and it was just one button.
Those things were cool.
They were cool as hell. It's like it was the kind of thing where if you had more than 2 systems and you didn't own one, like what are you doing? Like it's just push the button. Like they were so cool because they would even come with those little tabs that were like PlayStation 2, Xbox. And you could put it over it, and I would just boom.
Yeah,
I had all of them hooked up.
Different era.
Yeah, it was great.
Man, you mentioned SCART. You're going to bring some real people out of the woodworking emails now.
Oh no.
So we got some interesting. Also, Jason Schreier's been working overtime this past week. He got some more of the story of Redfall. I think the most humorous thing about Redfall that I'll point out is when Microsoft bought. So this game did start development before Microsoft purchased Bethesda.
Right.
They actually expected Microsoft to cancel the game, not champion it, because they knew it was in trouble when they were purchased. But the biggest thing was they talked to some people that did play testing for the game throughout the development, and the play testers were surprised how little changed in that time period from like when the game was first getting builds to like final builds. So it's a whole thing just reeks of a disaster.
It's crazy. Like
it's bad.
For them to be like, we really expected Microsoft to come in and cancel it. It's like, damn, dude. Like, maybe somebody should have stepped up and been like, look. I know you guys bought us, and like this was part of the deal, but like this game is not anywhere near. Because we talked about this last time. Like, somebody should have gone up there and be like, this is not in a finished state. We need help desperately. Like, if you want to make this a game, somebody's got to come in and do this. And like, so, and like, it just seems like they didn't want to step up. Microsoft was like hands off, like, we'll let you do it, man, but just so you know, we're going to hype it up. And it just seems like that's 2 bad ideas, like mashed against each other for a game that ultimately apparently was never any good.
No. Mm-hmm. The Front Mission remake is out for PlayStation this month. PS4, PS5.
It's cool that it's on more stuff. I was reading some stuff on it. Apparently, it's pretty rough.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah, I'm not really surprised. It's a remake of Front Mission, for Christ's sake, but it's a cool thing to exist. But I think I might end up passing on it just because at this point, like if we're talking like that, like mech, like I'd rather just play Armored Core. And
hey man, I'm excited for Fires of Rubicon. So I still got to do. I'm still looking into when I can sit down and do a stream of those two games because the 360 ones.
Yeah.
Well, there's three. I have two of them. There are three, and now all of them are like 80 to 100.
Oh god, he's got the Dark.
If I want, I'm
paying
missing
the Dark Souls
four
tax.
answer.
Yeah,
I'm missing four answer.
You're paying the Dark Souls tax.
I'll ever get it now.
No, the Bloodborne tax.
Thought this was interesting. Capcom has put out a survey asking what fans would want next for a Resident Evil remake. They put a bunch of stuff on there, including 0 and 1, as well as 5, Code Veronica, and 6. So it's interesting they're going this route. So maybe it tells me maybe 5 isn't the next remake.
That's kind of a bummer because I was hoping that we would just follow the progression and get 5. And
I was hoping that too, but like I would take a break if they were to do Code Veronica next and then do 5.
They could do that.
I would accept that.
I would accept them like going off like we'll do the spin-off one next and then we'll come back and do 5.
Yeah, I could do that. That would be fine. So we'll see. I don't know, but that tells me they are very much head down working on whatever the next 9, whatever that ends up being. So
all right, what if in 9 you're a mushroom guy, right? And you had a baby.
There you go.
And the witch stole your mushroom baby.
Okay.
Like, right? It's pretty good.
Maybe. The last news we end on some Final Fantasy VII Rebirth news.
Oh yeah.
Still on track for winter 2023 release. That means they're saying between like December of this year to like March of next year.
It means spring 24 release.
Yeah. And that's kind of what we agree on. They also have said that the open world has a high degree of freedom. So the open world's going to be interesting for Midgar.
Well, we're not in Midgar anymore. That's the point.
That's right. Yeah.
So we talked about it before. Where how different is this going to be?
It seems like it's going to be wildly
different. The end of the first one, we talked about it. It blows it open. Where we have reset everything now. So we can do whatever we want. It looks like Zach's alive, which is
maybe Eris does
crazy. Eris might not die because like as you played more of 7 and did you beat 7? The remake? Yeah. Okay.
Oh yeah.
Because the main theme of that game is like she is self-aware of what has happened before. Mm-hmm. So my thought is maybe she doesn't. Or if you want to get fucking wild, maybe she can die. And the game changes if she does. So what if there's like you could stop it, but maybe you can't? I mean, that's not that wild of an idea because even Chrono Trigger has shit like that. Where you remember like Chrono Trigger, there's that one scene where like you go back in time to Luca's mom like getting caught in that machine and you can stop it and it changes stuff.
Yeah.
So like maybe that would be more interesting. Like you could stop it if you do things perfectly or something. So like that could be fun, and I'm excited for an open world like story in this world because now that we've changed it so much, I don't want the rest of the game to follow the same story beats. Like we've already beat Sephiroth for Christ's sake, like that didn't happen in the first part of that game. Yeah. So I'm excited. Like it could be very cool, and
it could. I don't think you hear any more about the game until this fall, though.
Right?
No, they need to get 16 out and into people's hands.
Yeah, and again, like they say winter, which could it happen? Sure, but I still think it's like early next year at the most. But they seem to start liking June and July more, which is fine. I'm not upset by that.
It'll be interesting. So we'll transition into emails because we got quite a few here. Ooh. First email we have comes from Brad from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. He says, "Hey guys, with the early reviews on the new indie movie being disappointing, does this affect the game at all? Do you think it'll be looked down upon simply because people may dislike this movie, or do you think there's enough brand power and nostalgia to win people over anyways? Thanks." It's fucking Indiana Jones.
I look at them as two different things. Like,
yeah,
it would be one thing if the game was Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, like if the game was the movie. But it seems like the game is just its own entity.
I think the only thing that could bring like a level of disappointment to the game is if it is somehow tied to this movie. But I don't think it is.
Like if it was made for this movie or something. But it's been
I don't think it is.
It's been announced for a while.
Couple years.
Yeah, and I think it's more safe to say that it's just an Indiana Jones game. Because obviously they're not going to want it to be this because he's old in this movie. So you want it to be as reasonably young as possible so that you could make sequels to it, you know?
Yeah.
For sure.
And weave him in between, like it would probably be after Raiders, but before Last Crusade, and you kind of weave him in there. Or maybe there's one
you either do that or maybe it's set before Raiders, but like right around that time.
But but the thing is Temple of Doom is technically first, so it would be like in between the two of them, or like it would just be the other adventures of Indiana Jones. I'm not worried about it. Like they exist in my head as two different things. Like I loved that Indiana Jones game for like Xbox and PS2. And that's not based off of the movie.
That was what, the Infernal Tomb or something?
No, it's Infernal Machine is the 64 one. Emperor's Tomb is the Xbox. Emperor's Tomb. And then there was the PS2 only Staff of Kings, which was not very good.
I never played that.
It's not very good. But I liked that one, and that's its own like standalone thing. Like I love Indiana Jones to death, man. Like I fully will tell you Crystal Skull sucks, but I'm still hyped for this movie. Even these reviews.
We're both going to that movie.
Yeah, reviews for it are like, he's old.
It's been mixed from like some people think it's okay, some people think it's worse than Crystal Skull. So, and I'm like, I'll just see it and I'll tell you, it's got to be. They have to do something really fucked up.
You really have to
movie
fuck
to
me over
that.
to be worse than Crystal Skull.
Really hard
at the end.
But and that's one thing. Like a lot of people are complaining about like the de-aging thing, where it's like, I don't know, man. I've seen that trailer. I think that shit looks great.
Yeah, he looks fine. I believe it. I just I'm hyped for it. I just want more. I want them to talk about it, which I'm fingers crossed a week from now. How great would it be a week from now to get a trailer for that game?
It'd be awesome. I think it's there.
I don't need a 10-minute Spider-Man 2 gameplay. I just need like the music to hit and it shows like a plane flying over a map and a whip crack goes off and a Nazi falls in a pit or something, and I'm good.
And we'll get to it, but I think Indy shows up at this conference.
I hope so.
It makes the stars are aligned for it. I mean, you got a movie that's regardless of the quality of the movie, there's probably some sort of deal in the background. Like you have to talk about this game.
No, but I mean, yes and no, but I mean, what better time to talk about it?
Exactly. What better time, especially if that game is a fall 2023 game? You got this movie.
Talk about
what better time?
Yeah.
What better time to start building pre-orders?
You need to talk about it now. Yeah. Or just tell people like preload it because remember it's a Game Pass game.
It should be a Game Pass. It will be a Game Pass game. It's Bethesda Machine Games. Next email comes from Kara from Redacted. Hi guys, manager soon to be promoted to customer here. I just wanted to reach out that GameStop Pro was the final nail in the coffin for me, being expected to continue to hit a 15% goal on the card that takes away value but costs $10 more a month. No thanks. I work in a very prominent, wealthy area, and the last year it's really been a slog to sell anything that isn't just a system, maybe a controller, and that's it. No one wants to buy physical games anymore. Call of Duty last year, we had just 25 reserves across all platforms.
Damn.
Yeah, sure, Zelda was a big hit for my store, but physical Nintendo games are the only physical games I sell anymore. I just can't deal with the stress of the goals and the metrics. It has been myself and ASL and one GA for the last year, and even stretching hours between us is just not worth my time anymore. I put in my 2 weeks right before sending off this email, so I'm still awaiting my DL's response. But I just wanted to reach out and say that you guys have a fantastic podcast, and I really appreciate that you all understand what we go through at a store level. I'm so tired of doom scrolling YouTube and seeing video after video of typical gamers that just hate GameStop to hate GameStop. Yeah. They don't take the time to think that the people working at the store level hate this shit just as much as they do. Thanks again.
That's for sure, Kara.
Yeah, I mean, that is one of the things I hate them. I've always kind of hated the most about working for GameStop, shopping at GameStop is so many people just like, all the trade-in memes where they show like a stack of games and it's like GameStop will give you $3 for it. It's like, yeah, you know what though, man? Maybe those games aren't even worth $3. Like it's like
that's the thing.
If you don't understand how a fucking business works, how can you comment on any of this stuff? I get that memes are supposed to be a joke, but there are people that will post 20-minute YouTube videos about how GameStop only offered me $5 for a scratched up copy of Med. It's like, Yeah, dude, that's how it works. You go run a business and tell me that makes sense to pay full price for something.
So there were many, many times I wish I could open that back door and show that person that wall we had of Madden.
You want to see some games, dude?
This is why your Madden game is not worth $30.
Here's a couple hundred copies of games we can't sell.
Yeah. You know what I'm going to do with these? We're probably going to throw these out at some point.
Yeah.
Like, let's be real. Like,
we did. We ended up doing it. Remember?
We did
like,
throw up.
Every couple of years, they would be like, all right, it's time to purge. And you would purge Madden 07, I think when we were baseball there was like 06,
maybe 10.
Yeah, I think by the time we left, like 10 or 11 even was out. Mm-hmm. But it would even be stuff like Battlefield 3 got purged.
Yeah, I remember that. We had so many copies.
Both. Any game that sells millions of copies inherently becomes worthless because, especially in a used market, it's all supply and demand. And if you want to know how that works, go to a retro video game store and pay $250 for Super Nintendo games. Like, that's how it works. But, I live in mommy's basement and I play video games on the internet. So I know how a business works. Like, that stuff always just drives me fucking up the wall. It's clear we don't agree with the majority of the stuff GameStop does, but their trade-in program has never been something I've really ever seen as wrong.
No,
it makes sense. You go to scanning something that says, 50 in stock. Cool. This is worth 3 cents, man.
Yeah.
And to write 3 cents, it means we don't want it. Yeah. You can keep it.
Well, and that'll be the thing I would tell people when they bitch or complain about, like, that 3 cents means we don't even want it.
Right.
That's why
we're giving you something to give you something for it, but we are throwing it away for you.
Yeah. Exactly.
And that's ridiculous. Then go sell it yourself. Go put it on Facebook for $15 and not sell it.
Or there's a trash can right outside the store. Just throw it there.
People would throw shit in there constantly.
We would have that constantly. The Madden games and stuff.
Yeah. It's... Man, 25 reserves for Call of Duty across all platforms. Can you imagine that?
Wow. That's ridiculous.
But she's right, though. Like, especially Xbox and PlayStation, there are a lot of digital just people now. And Nintendo, there isn't because the storage simply isn't there. And it's not easy to manage moving that shit around on a Switch because
people have always wanted physical copies of Nintendo games.
And there's still cartridges, so there's something
I think bringing it back to cartridges is what helped it continue longer.
And there's a collectability to Nintendo stuff as a whole.
Plus they got those sweet, like, smaller cases.
Yeah, and like they're slim and they fit on shelves real easy, and you can the carts all fit in a case or something. But I mean, this Pro thing. Well, we're close, right? It's starting in a couple weeks.
27.
Man,
Jesus,
points are going to expire. Remember, if you're not active, goodbye to your points. Jesus.
Got some controversial gaming opinions here. Bob from Indianapolis, Indiana. Metroid hasn't been good since it went 3D and everyone has gone mad. Metroid Dread was the best thing to happen to the series in years. I don't have really any opinion on Metroid. That's never been my series. So I haven't even played Metroid Dread yet.
Me neither as a whole, but like I will say I did like Metroid Prime 1.
Okay.
But I played a little bit of 2 and just couldn't, for whatever reason, I just didn't.
I couldn't get into Metroid Prime back when it came out, and then I never played 2 or 3.
Yeah.
I have that remake, so maybe I should try it again because I actually have read like that's a really good remake.
Yeah, that's been interesting to me too. I have that too.
So,
I mean, I even picked up Dread, and I don't think I even touched it. Like, it's just, I never had I didn't have Super Metroid as a kid, so I never played it at the time.
Yeah, that's the thing.
I think by the time I got around to owning it, it was like.
Oddly enough, we had the original Metroid, and I tried playing as a kid, never just understood it as a kid.
Yeah.
It's very, it is a very bizarre game in that era.
You have you had to keep track of it yourself.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I never got into it because of that. And then Super Metroid, I never had. There was no 64 when it wasn't until GameCube they brought it back. So
but that's when they brought it back as a first person game. Mm-hmm. And that's why I was willing to give it a shot then, and I kind of liked it. But Metroid seems to be one of those series people just love that shit. And I'm sure there are plenty of people that hate the 2D ones, and there's plenty of people that hate the 3D ones.
Right.
Next one we have is a good one. Ryan from South Beach, Florida. Hey guys, controversial opinion here to many. Rock Band was better than Guitar Hero. It came out, took over, and while Guitar Hero may have been the household brand name, nothing beat Rock Band. It makes sense why Guitar Hero had to copy them with the fourth game having a full band. Thoughts? I 100% agree.
Oh, it's no question.
No, sure.
Rock Band is far better.
Rock Band, like I was one of those. I jumped in with Guitar Hero 2 when it hit 360. I played a shit ton of it. Then 3 came out, bought that kit, played that. And then it was like Rock Band was kind of this thing we looked at and it was like, well, I could get Rock Band. Maybe we should just dive in and see. And that was kind of the thing where like me, mutual friend Ross, we went and I bought the kit. Mm-hmm. With the drums and everything, and it just took over.
Yeah,
like it was just like
no,
and the thing was we both like I played guitar, he played drums. We both built each other up to the expert level, and then we switched.
Yeah,
and then I learned how to play drums to the expert level, and he played guitar expert. And then it was the point, like at that point, that's what it was.
I've told this before, but when Guitar Hero 1 came out, it was a weird thing. So it was like, do people want to buy a giant plastic guitar and stuff? So we just said F it one day, and we hooked up 2 guitars and then we put the game in its system. And my coworker and I, we would just play it. Like if we were working together and nobody's in the store, we would just fucking play Guitar Hero 1 all day. And it was enough to get people to come over and like, what are you guys doing? Because we specifically played it on the interactive that faced Hollywood and jacked the volume up so like people could hear it. And people would come over, like families would, coming in to rent a movie or something. They'd come over and be like, what are you guys playing? It's like, oh, we're playing Guitar for PS2. It's like, it's really cool. Showed it off. We sold dozens of copies this way just by showing it off. And then 2 came out for the 360. We did the same thing, hooked it up. Guitar Hero 2 for 360 is a great game.
It's a great game. And the Explorer guitar.
The Explorer guitar, here's a controversial opinion. That's the best guitar they've ever released. The shape of it fits on your leg. It so like if you're sitting down, it like the X of it fits on my leg perfect, and it clicks properly.
Here's one thing
I'll never use the Beatles ones, to be fair. But
here's the one thing I'll say. When it comes to equipment, I always played Rock Band with Guitar Hero guitars because I need the click.
The click. Yeah. The click is the most important part of the mush.
I could not do the mushy I could for bass.
A little bit,
but not for guitar.
Yeah.
For bass, I also is weird. Because I actually can play bass. I play that with upstrum the whole time.
Right.
So that's how I play.
I taught myself to play that when I played bass in Rock Band to play up.
So that didn't bother me, but not having the click. But guitar, it had to have the click. I used the Explorer forever. That Les Paul version. At one point, we both had those wireless Les Pauls. We were using those.
Those were pretty good. Yeah,
those are pretty good until the neck would give out and the sensor in the neck.
That's why I love the Explorer. It held together like that thing. That thing is a masterful piece of equipment.
The best guitar that I had, which you'll laugh at, is a couple managers before you when they were changing out the kiosk. Mm-hmm. It was whatever the guitar was for Warriors of Rock for 360.
Oh, I don't think I ever used it.
So it's like a weird one.
I was out on Guitar Hero.
I have the kiosk one, so it's wired.
Oh, that's right, because they had to be.
And that is a fantastic fucking guitar.
I could see that one being good. So, I actually preferred wired instruments for that just because I felt like obviously batteries and shit, but like I felt like you wouldn't have any latency, which is incredibly important in those games.
Drums, we went through a couple drum sets.
They were all kind of built like shit in the beginning.
Years later, we had another mutual friend who was like, I'm getting rid of all my Rock Band stuff. You can just have it. To whoever, like he posted on Facebook, anybody can, and I literally messaged him like, are you sure? Yeah. Like I'll give you money if you want money. No. And that's where I got the Beatles Rock Band drum set. I got all the Beatles, like the bass and whatever came.
Those are good because those were expensive.
And the Beatles were the best drums.
Yeah. I can believe that. Early Rock Band drums are the original Rock Band drums are fine. Like
we destroyed,
but they fall apart. The Guitar Hero ones were bad. You remember that? They fell apart. Yeah. Like wires would come loose and stuff in it. But so anyway, like I played Guitar Hero 2, played a ton of that. We actually worked a festival around here once as like a Game Crazy booth, and we're like, what could we do? And we're like, why don't we just take a TV and take an Xbox and take Guitar Hero, and then we can just play Guitar Hero at a festival for like 4 fucking hours. And it was great until we realized that we forgot the memory card that had the songs unlocked. So we had to listen to Surrender for like 2
Too
hours.
many times.
Yeah. It was fucking nightmare. Like anytime.
It sucks because some of the best songs in that game are the unlockable.
Exactly. Ones. So what would happen is when a kid would stop playing it and nobody was around, we'd quickly pick it up and just try to play through the rest of the songs like as fast as we could and switch off. But I remember when Rock Band came out, that was what I told my mom. I was like, I want that for Christmas this year. I told my buddies, I'm like, don't worry, I'm going to get Rock Band. And we'll play it that way because we had the 4 of us.
Oh my god!
And I basically brought it to my buddy's house, and left it in his basement for like 2 years because we would just have it hooked up, and we would just rotate.
Do you remember the Pepsi summer? It was like 2009 where they ran the promotion where like you could get a code to get a free Rock Band song with every 20-ounce bottle of Pepsi.
No, oh my god, I do remember that. Yes,
this was like 2009, and like it was to the point where like I worked at Dollar Tree at the time, so I got Pepsi very cheap.
Yeah,
and so it got to the point where like we were literally buying Pepsi and just fucking dumping. I hate Pepsi.
Yeah,
so
Pepsi's.
We were literally just dumping it, taking those. And we had so many fucking songs.
Yeah. Well, that was the other part. That was the other part about Rock Band that was immediately better than Guitar Hero. It had a better like living library of stuff.
Yeah.
Rock Band, the people at Harmonix, and that's the other thing to remember. The people at Harmonix is who made Guitar Hero 1 and 2, and then they went and made Rock Band.
Right. That's why Guitar Hero dropped off and Rock Band picked up.
They had actual people in the music industry, so they were able to make a lot of deals with those early games to get master tracks and recordings to put
and get proper charts for stuff. Yeah,
exactly. So
they didn't have to make their own.
I would love one day. I want a documentary made on that game.
Yeah,
I want to see the charting system.
You know what's interesting too is like we talked about it where obviously that genre of stuff got fucking overloaded at one point. It was just
insane.
Too many big boxes of shit in the store. Like you couldn't sell stuff. It got complicated to move your music libraries forward. It got even worse as licenses ran out. Rock Band scored the Beatles, which was incredible, but it's like
it's the one and only that you could never.
It's going to be the nightmare because you cannot ever move it. They tried to kind of bring this stuff back with like 4 and.
4's not a bad
Guitar
game,
Hero
but it took a lot of updates to make Rock Band 4.
I think there could be a world now where they just release like the guitar again, and it's got a digital download like code for a game, and the whole thing is just an online thing. Guitar Hero Live tried to do that, but they did it in a really fucking dumb way. It needs to be a game you own with music in it, and then you can buy more music.
Yeah,
but
it
can't be like play the channels and stuff we have and stuff will rotate. No, don't do that.
What if you play the same song 6 times?
Yeah, don't do that. I think there's a world where it could come back now. Like Rocksmith obviously was a cool thing too, trying to do something different, but that was more complicated. No, but that's more complicated because you need to own a guitar. Like you need to be into playing guitar already. This is just a game you can play with your guitar. I think Rock Band could come back. But the only caveat you would have to accept is we're releasing a new Rock Band. None of your old music works. They would have to just start. They would have to start over, and you would have to buy into that and pay $100 for the guitar in the game with 40 songs.
And I think that would crush a lot.
That would crush a lot of people, but it's the only way it makes sense anymore is to start.
It is.
Rock Band for
as someone
VR.
who owns over 2,000 Rock Band songs.
Right, but the thing is like if you really wanted to, you could go play those.
You could.
So
I have a way to do it, and I dug out my Rock Band adapter the other day.
Exactly.
Every day I'm like, I'm gonna bring the drums up today and set those up, and I just haven't done it.
But exactly, but you have a way to do that. But if you accepted that your old library lives on Rock Band 4, and now we're starting over, then it's fine. You just have to put in a different disc. Like that's all it is, or boot the game.
But I 100%
Rock Band is by far superior. Guitar Hero never quite came back after World Tour.
It had a couple then they did Aerosmith, then they did Metallica.
They got smarter when they went down the band route for sure.
Yeah,
and then Rock Band tried to copy that
a little bit,
like Green Day.
Green Day. They did that weird AC/DC thing you can only get at Walmart.
Yeah, that was another problem.
That was a pain to get.
Separate tracks out from shit, and it was just a mess.
Well, remember in that era, AC/DC as a whole had some deal with Walmart because then you could only get the album there too that came out at that time, and so it made sense why you can only get that game there. But I have those songs too.
But yeah, Rock Band just seemed to really nail it more and care about it more. Like obviously the Beatles thing was unbelievable because the Beatles,
unbelievable.
Everybody knows
fucking game.
The Beatles are notorious for like licensing music and all that kind of stuff. But they the way they got around that was just like, hey, we got his son to like come make the game.
Yeah.
So
they did a lot of really cool.
Yeah, they did great stuff with that. Yeah.
For sure.
Harry from Cincinnati, Ohio. Hey guys, love the podcast. I was curious. You guys certainly have opinions on the upcoming changes to the Power Up Rewards card, but do you think that these changes could impact GameStop enough that they'll lose a chunk of the remaining loyal customer base? Or do you think it's just another, oh well, and those that still go there will just accept it and continue to shop there? At this point, it seems like those that continue to shop at GameStop regularly are the hardcore lifers for that store. I stopped regularly going there for games about 6 years ago, and I honestly haven't looked back. Thanks.
It's going to cut some people for sure. Like every change always cuts some people. But I don't think it's like, he makes a good point where like, it's not an incentive for new people to sign up. Like there's, like if I'm a new person walking into this and you want to, now it's this much more, it's like, no way. But there are people that, I mean, we saw it, we had it. There are people that are lifers. And a lot of times
they just know this is where I go to buy video games.
It's parents. Yeah. A lot of times it's parents that don't know better. Like that sounds like a bad way to put it, but it is. It's literally like, this is where I go. And I think part of that experience is because, you know, being a fan of game stores, you know, when you're younger, or you actually have a GameStop that's good, because remember, they're not all good and they're not all bad. Like you have to find, you have to get lucky that the team that works at your store will actually gives a shit and will actually help you. And it's so hit or miss. Like the store, you know, I don't have anything really against GameStop as a whole. Like there are a lot of things I hate about it, but when there are other options for me to get stuff elsewhere, it's not a priority. And you know, I still get things through the website, but that's because I can get stuff through the website. But like literally, I had to go into I told Kyle this. I had to go in to cancel my Zelda Reserve, which I forgot I had done one at the store. Because I managed to get the collectors on the website. Okay, fine. But I don't really want, I went in and I looked for one thing. They didn't have it. And I was like, fuck it. I'm just going to eat my $5 back. I'm going to leave. So I pulled up to roll back. I pulled up, I walked in as someone was walking out. I pull up, I walk in. There's nobody else in the store. The girl working is like sitting on a stool behind a counter. And she like you know what? Okay. Did I do that? Fuck. Of course I did. But I didn't stand up immediately pissed off like this girl did. And I'm just like, okay, so this is how it's going to, I'm not going to say anything because I'm not going to start off anything. Do you need anything? I'm okay. I'm going to look for something real quick. And I went to the back, looked, not there, walked up and I said, hey, I hate to do this to you, but I just need to cancel. I have a Zelda Reserve. I just need to cancel it. And a lot of times when I do something like that at a store, or if I buy something and I feel like they're going to go into the spiel, I go, hey, I'll save you some time. Like I used to work here. You don't have to. Yeah. It's okay. I understand. Like I'm not trying to like blow them off or stop them. I'm just giving them like I know what this is. We don't have to do the dance. It's fine.
We don't have to.
Yeah, it's okay. And I started with like, I hate to do this to you, but I need to cancel Zelda. I thought about it. I thought about being like, hey, I used to work here. I'm sorry. I get it. But there's just nothing. But she had such an attitude. I'm like, you know what? I don't even want to start a conversation about this. Like, just give me the $5. And I told you afterwards, like, she seemed like she'd have more fun, like, laying in a pool of her own blood somewhere than working at a GameStop. And it's just like, it's bad. Why are you here? I get it, but why are you here?
I had the opposite when I canceled my Diablo of like just it was somebody I've never seen in the store that I don't know if he's if this was a new hire or I just have never gone on the day that this person works, but they were overzealous.
Oh, well,
I'm like, I got to cancel this Diablo. And then it was like, you're not going to play Diablo. I was like, look, man, I can get this digitally and play it between two Xboxes. Like, there's no reason for me to get a physical copy.
Yeah.
So, you know, and then it was like, you want to put in anything else? Like, not really, dude. Like, I already got my Final Fantasy through Best Buy, and like after that, I don't have anything else reserved right now because
this is
a little bit before stuff comes out.
I think this is the first time in
like when we get to August, like when we get to beginning of August, I'll be like, oh shit, I should probably order Armored Core 6,
right?
You know, and I'll do it then. But like, I don't need to have that done.
This is the first time I don't think I've had anything reserved at the store level in a decade. Probably, which is weird to think about, but I'm officially out of people in my general area that I know.
Yeah,
and it's just like that's the end of an era for me.
And that's the thing too, is like the other two people I've dealt with this store, like they know at this point. I used to work at GameStop. They don't give me the spiels. This was somebody I've never talked to before. So I'm like, oh, good.
Yeah, I've never seen this girl before too, and that's the other reason I kind of like try to pepper it in. That like, oh, I used to work here is like so that you recognize me. So if I come in, you realize like you don't have to stop what you're doing to help me. Like you're fine. Care. So it's okay. I get it. But so like I think that's part of like the GameStop like life or experiences. Maybe these people have good employees. Like I see stories or I hear stuff from time to time where it's like, well, I get the game warranty just to help out the guys who work there. Like that's nice, but you don't have to do that. Like I would never expect when I was working there, I would never expect people to do that. Like that's nice, but you don't have to do that.
For sure.
There's definitely gonna be people that don't. You know the thing about this program too. There's gonna be people that don't even notice it. Because they're on auto renewal or they just know they have a card and then they sign up for it and I get the coupon and whatever. So is this going to make a big enough dent to make them rethink power up rewards? No, because it's more beneficial to them because it's screwing over people that aren't customers anymore. Your points are gone. Yeah. We don't have to give you discounts anymore.
They'll at least get a lot of those the first year.
Yes. Yeah. It'll be a weird transitional phase, but to raise the price of it is, come on, it's ridiculous. That's stupid, especially when there's not even a physical magazine anymore.
For sure. Next question goes from Randall from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Hey guys, I was curious as it's into the season, depending on where you live in the country, do you guys go out to garage sales often? If so, have you found any good finds at all this year? So this question is more for you, Matt.
Yeah. I just don't have. I don't have.
I will tell you. I will give you the one quick story. My neighbors across the street been having a garage sale this weekend, and like I will eye it from my front lawn. Like if I'm throwing the trash out or something, just look. But like I know they're not going to have anything that I want.
Yeah.
I had a guy Thursday or Friday. It was Thursday. I had a guy was throwing the trash out, literally just stop in his car and just go, "Oh, excuse me." I'm like, turn around. I'm like, "Yeah, what can I help you with?" And he's just, do these people across you, like, do you know if they have any retro games? And I'm just like, I really don't think so, man. It's like, be honest with him. And he's like, oh, okay. I'm looking for retro games. And he looks like, you look like a gamer. I'm like, okay. He's like, do you have any retro games for sale? And I just sat there, I'm like, no, man. I don't have anything for sale because I'm like, I don't know who this fucking guy is. Like,
let him into your house.
Let him know that.
Let him in your house.
Yeah, dude, I have a huge collection. Come on,
my whole office is like, I'm not full of this stuff.
That was it. Yeah, I just was like, no, I don't have anything for sale.
Yeah,
right now.
we've like before. We'll let Matt talk about it, but like before we talk about it, we've talked about it before. Our neighborhoods are like our general area is picked over. Like It is. I've heard stories. I used to hear stories from customers while I worked at GameStop. Where like, I get up at 5:30 every morning. It's like, you're saving me the trouble then, man. Because like, these are the guys who they used to talk to me about how they would run into each other at these sales. Because one of the guys used to work for us. So it's like, if he was out doing it, I'm not even going to bother because I'm not going to have the time to beat him to this shit. So.
Yeah. I mean, for me, I'll be honest. If I was going to garage sales now, I'm looking for guitar stuff.
Yeah,
people are selling cheap. I'm not looking for games.
I'm looking for more for like
games
toys.
To be a happy oh, there's some games here. That's cool. You know, I'm looking for somebody selling a cheap guitar amp because they don't want to move it.
There you go.
So, go ahead, Matt. I know you. This is more for you.
Yeah. So I mean, I deep dive into them all the time. Normally Thursday, I'm kind of jumping on the apps that I have and I kind of go through the ones that I see that normally say something about electronics or even toys possibly. And I normally will try to independently message them beforehand and ask them if they have games just so I don't have to waste my time if they don't. Because even if I'm like, hey, I see you have video games and toys. What kind of toys or what kind of games are you looking at?
Yeah.
You know, because 99% of everybody who says we have video games are talking about Wiis. And I don't know if you don't know, but I don't need any more Wiis in my life.
I don't even have any Wii stuff.
Yeah. I will say though, I haven't found a lot this season. I also haven't been going out a lot as I normally used to. Just because I normally had something planned on a Saturday and I'm like, fuck, you know, I got to do this and I can't really spend my morning doing this because I have to prep for this and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, I will say though, most recently I went to a yard sale where a guy said he was selling video games and I was shook because I was the first person there. Like his ad said video games and I was like,
his ad said that?
Yeah, his ad.
Oh, that's like the death
games.
notice. Yeah, shit.
And I was like, shit.
You think people would have been outside his house at 3 a.m.?
Yeah. So I pull up and I see the sign that says yards or garage sale, and I look at my wife and I'm like, there's nobody here, right? Like I'm the first person to pull up, and she's like, yeah, and I'm like, let's fucking go. So like. Yeah. I went in there. I actually found a copy of, I believe, Jaws for the NES. I didn't have that.
Okay.
It was like $5, and then I was able to talk him down on a copy of Final Fantasy,
the original.
Yeah,
for NES.
So I went ahead and snagged that.
Nice.
I would say probably about 3 weeks ago, a friend of mine's actually messaged me, and she was like, you know, me and my boyfriend are gonna do a yard sale. And he said he has a bunch of video games he'd be interested in selling. And I was like, well, I am the guy. And so I went over there because, like, right now I'm on this kick of finding anything handheld because, you know, the store shut down for Nintendo. And I'm like, I got to find some of this stuff that looks cool so I can either play it one day or just sell it when it gets really pricey. And this dude didn't know, like, he knew what he had, but he didn't know what he had. So, like, I ended up buying, like, 8 or 9 video games from him, and I paid maybe a total of, like, $70.
Oh, that's the one you sent us the picture of. Yeah.
So, like, I found
we told you, like, we're told, like, man, like, buy it all if you can.
I found Dragon Quest 8, Radiant Historia, Fire Emblem Fate, Birthright, and then Fire Emblem's Echo, Shadows of Valentia, and then Fire Emblem Awakening, and then a loose copy of A Link Between Two Worlds, which was pretty cool. In that same instance, which he didn't tell me he actually discovered PSP games, which was really cool for him to find. So I got, what is that? Is it Ys 7?
Ys, yeah.
Ys 7? Oh,
yeah. So I got a copy of that. And he had Dragoneer's Aria.
Yep.
So I got that. Generation of Chaos, I picked that up. And then Crisis Core.
Yeah.
Which was all solid. I mean, and again, like I paid $70, I think, total for all of those.
That's a steal.
I was like, dope. Yeah. And then and the same guy, we were talking about stuff, and he was like, you know, I actually think I have a 3DS laying around somewhere if you're interested. And I was like, yeah, I'm interested.
For these prices,
and I was like,
I'm interested.
How much? I was like, he was like, well, I don't really know how much they go for. I'm just kind of trying to get rid of it. And I was like, he was like, oh, I guess we can look it up. And when he said look it up, my like heart dropped, and I was like, fuck. I was like, he's gonna want like full price. So I looked it up for him. I was like, dude, on eBay they're going for like maybe 200. I was like, you know, what you want for it? And he was like, well, I'll take 60. And I'm like, that is way out of. I was like, yeah.
What kind of 3DS was it?
It was that intergalactic one. That
yeah, the Galaxy one. Yeah, those are cool.
Okay.
That shit was dope. I ended up picking that up for 60, but I have a friend of mine, and his wife is going through some health issues right now. So she's looking for a handheld copy. Like, she wanted a 3DS because that's kind of like her memory.
Sure.
And so I flipped it. I was like, dude, if you give me $60, it's yours. You can have it. I'm not. I don't even want to fight you on that, bro.
Yeah, man.
And so I gave that to him, and I probably won't be out going around for like the next 2 weeks. But in the same instance, I told Kyle and Dan about this. I got a friend who pops out about 6 o'clock every day on the weekends. Homeboy is like out there.
Yeah.
And his coolest find he's had right now in this season is a copy of Earthbound that he picked up in that Super Nintendo lot that he found for like $50. Yeah. And it was like the insane. Super Nintendo and a ton of games. And then he got a PSP Vita as well not too long ago. Boxed Genesis, which was pretty dope of him too. And then a 32X, which I ended up buying from him because I was like, homeboy, I want one of those. Like, give it. So I ended up making a deal with him for that. And I made a deal for the PSP Vita because I've always wanted one of those too. Mm-hmm. So I'm hoping I can pick that up from him for the next week or two. But I mean, like I tell a lot of people, if you're really interested in getting into retro gaming and you want to go through garage sales and look, you have to hustle because there are so many resellers out there that will beat you to the punch. And it's not, I mean, they're just trying to make money too. Like I can't be mad
you're doing the same thing.
I can't be mad at you because you're doing the same thing I'm doing. You're just faster at hitting the button. And that's the only thing. Like,
for sure.
You have to find ways around it. And like, so like I said, if you go onto Facebook and places and you like type in yard sales and you're able to reach out to people and ask them, just simply ask them, cut your losses. Are you selling video games? And if you're out and about and you run into a yard sale where a person doesn't necessarily say they're selling video games, just simply ask them, hey, just by chance, you got any old video games you're interested in selling? Because like, I've caught some people that have been like, actually I have a Game Boy that I just really don't play anymore. And I'm like, yo, like, let me see it.
Yeah.
Let me see what you're looking at and let me see how much you want for it. Like, and I know sometimes like when I watch big people like YouTubers and other people, and they find really cool lots, I know a lot of them kind of feel bad for taking advantage of people at pricing. Listen, they are just trying to get rid of shit that they are not okay with. That's my logic, you have to remember.
My logic has always been if they set the price, that's not my fault.
If they ask me, so like if someone has like a lot of like 10 video games and they're like, I don't really know what these are worth, throw me a number. I'm going to throw them a decent number. I'm going to throw them like something that's relatively high, but not like extremely high, but something that just makes that other person be like, oh yeah, that sounds like a logical.
I've always kind of told people like, you know, because I mean, people used to come into GameStop and Game Cruiser with shit we didn't take anymore. And I would tell them, like, look, here, you want an honest, like, value of what this is? This is about what you could get. I mean, you'd have to sell this all individually, be a pain in the ass. Yeah. But, what I paid right now would be this. And a lot of times people are like, okay, because they don't want to take the shit back or do whatever. Sure. Yeah. But I'm never going to be like, well, it's all garbage, so $10. Like, but I know people also do that.
Sometimes, like, it's best also, like, sometimes you got to get the trash and the treasure. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. If you're forced to buy a lot, buy the lot and work it out.
Buy the lot. Just be like, especially if someone is just trying to be like, I just want it all gone. Like, dude, just help them out and be like, all right, man, I only want these.
I only want these too. It's like, nah, man, just take it all and worry about it later.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the biggest thing in like, this kind of goes to like the collecting mentality of this is to try to like make connections and network with people. Like, some of the best scores that I've ever gotten have been like, a friend of a friend or, a coworker of my wife or just like random stuff like that. Like let people know that you care about it. And that kind of happens. Like a couple of years ago, my cousin was like, hey, we're having a garage sale and we've got like a Sega and all this like random stuff. What will we price it at? I said, well, I'll tell you, like, it would probably be worth like this much, but I'll be honest and like say, I want it. So what do you want for it? And, it's because she knows that I like the stuff. She's like, oh, if you want it, you just have it. Because we're just looking to get it out of here. So, like, I got like a Sega and a whole bunch of random stuff. Or, like, the buddy of mine who I did a favor for. That's how I got a garbage bag full of rare Sega Genesis games that he was like, I don't give a shit. But I picked them up, drove them home one day. Like,
and that's how you get a lot of stuff. It's even beneficial to just randomly talk to people. Like, because... Honestly, I was at the USPS location, and I was boxing a game up to ship to my cousin, and the lady behind the counter was like, "Oh, I saw what you were boxing. Do you like buy these?" And I was like, yeah, I'll buy video games from you. I'm like, do you have anything? And she was like, I think my son has like a DS he doesn't play anymore. And I was like, yo, give me your number. Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, I'll let you know what you have, and then I'll give you your number, and we'll just kind of go from there. Like, if you talk to people sometimes out the blue, sometimes that's where you find your best deals. Like, real talk.
Give it a shot, man. Like, worst thing that happens and nothing comes from it. I had a guy come appraise my house, just to get the value on the house, and he was looking around, and like, obviously he's got to come inside looking at my stuff. And he's like, man, I used to have a lot of this old stuff. And I said, well, hey man, like, you have my number now. If you find any of it and you're not looking, he's like, yeah, I had this and that. And he's like, I go to antique stores and stuff. It's like, you ever find something cool, man, you give me a call. Like, nothing ever came from it, but it was worth shooting the shit for 5 minutes. Cause what if that guy calls me the next day? It's like, oh, I got a bucket of this stuff. It's
Absolutely.
Like,
yeah. But
I will give you some quick breaking news here before we move to the next email. Quick breaking news. I just saw Ed Boon has tweeted that you will see the first gameplay reveal of Mortal Kombat 1 at Keighley Fest.
There it is, Keighley Fest.
So we kind of figured that, but it's confirmed now.
Yeah. Good.
So
let's do it.
All right. Next email we have comes from Craig from Redacted. So you know what that means. Hey guys, love the show. I'm a current GameStop manager, SL2. Looking to get out, but I just have to say these changes to the Power Up Rewards card are just insane. Trying to pitch this as added value while increasing the price? Come on, guys, what is this? Add to that, my main store somehow failed to meet Zelda Reserve numbers, 80 res overall, expected 120. So my deal has been on the warpath with me ever since, and it's all just become too much. I don't understand how there isn't anyone at this company left that doesn't realize how we could make it better with some tweaks instead of just doubling and tripling down on gouging the customer for as much money as possible with each trip that they come in. Thanks for reading my rant. These new changes suck.
Well, I mean, the problem is they're trying to maximize returns in the shortest time frame because they need to like boost the price up on this or really push this hot game or whatever in the short term because they just want as much coming in because whenever this blows up, which has got, I mean, realistic. I mean, we've it's been doom and gloom for a decade, but like it's getting worse. Like it's still getting worse and
very slow doom
and gloom. But like with every change he makes, it's a little bit more. But that's why they have to force this stuff is quicker and quicker and quicker. Like 80 reserves and not hitting a goal of 120. Why would a goal of 120 reserves at a GameStop? That's not a realistic number anymore. Like, I don't care where the hell your store is. 80 reserves for one title these days? That's pretty good. Like,
it is.
Name another game this year that store's going to get 80 reserves on. Nothing.
In a world where Starfield is on Game Pass, no.
No. When Spider-Man is a PlayStation 5 game, no. Yeah, like, it's just not realistic to get 80 reserves on another game this generation.
No.
Like, I can't even think of another one.
Not physical.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like, but yeah, they've always been a fan of setting these bullshit goals you're never going to make. And then they, on top of that, hey, this card's more expensive and we're pretending it adds more value when it really doesn't. And you got to hit the same goals. Like, what?
For sure.
They all know what they're doing. They know that it's all a quick cash grab.
For sure.
Chewie's not even there, so who cares?
Next email we have comes from Grant from Boise, Idaho. Hi, guys. Was curious with all the predictions you had going into the Xbox show, especially after the lackluster Sony State of Play.
Fable.
Thanks.
That seems Fable, more and more real. Sure.
No, Fable is real. They put out, I'm sure you saw the glitter trail with the actual Fable fucking music. That Fable is there. The other thing that people have been throwing around, so there, when Phil Spencer was on that podcast after Redfall like a couple weeks ago, he had mentioned that one of the things, there would be multiple collections announced here. One of them at this point I could also see being Fable because think about it this way. How long has it been since there's been a new Fable game?
That wasn't a Connect game? Yeah, quite a bit.
Why not reintroduce your audience to Fable?
A Fable, like 1, 2, 3 collection is a really good idea.
Mm-hmm. It is. Even though those games are perfectly fine, backwards compatible, they run at 60 frames. Some of them, I think, even are 4K.
Sure. 2010 is when Fable 3 came out.
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
like,
it's been a while. So, and like, let's be honest, Fable will be at this show. You will see gameplay. They will deep dive it. It's not coming out this year.
Oh,
I don't think so. No.
I think it's I think that game is either a big spring game or your big fall game. One or the other. But it's not this year.
I lean fall next year, honestly.
I think so. I could see that. Bigger predictions here. We talked about before, but yeah, well, I mean, those are easy,
right? But like, I think it needs to be there. I think it needs.
Here's one I have for you that may or may not happen, but I'm going to throw it out there. The Ubisoft conference is the following day. What franchise does Ubisoft have that has a long-standing relationship with Xbox that has a game they're working on right now?
It's got to be Skull and Bones, right? Skull and Bones?
No, yeah, Skull and Bones. What if at this conference you get a black screen, you see the three
green lights,
and you get the Splinter Cell,
the power-up noise?
Tune into the Ubisoft conference tomorrow.
That would be good.
First gameplay on Splinter Cell.
Splinter Cell is confirmed to exist. It is.
I don't think you get a blow up of it here,
no,
because I think it's a multi-platform game. But because they have that long-standing, like,
I don't even think you would necessarily get like a tune into the conference tomorrow thing. I think it could. Okay. I think you could get. It would be a black screen, somebody talking. They kind of are like talking about things that like you're like, man, is that Splinter Cell? Like it could be, and then like you hear the noise of the headset like come on,
and then somebody says execute the fifth.
Yeah, and then the three, and then like the three lights come on, and it like gives you Splinter Cell a title, and then it says 2024 on it or something, and then at Ubisoft they can go. We teased it yesterday. Here's a full reveal, like that kind of thing. So that's possible because that is definitely an Xbox game.
For sure.
That's
a good one.
It'll
be multi-platform, but I think it. I mean, I look at it as
Indie's a good one.
So.
Indie, we talked about it before. I think the James Bond game would be a huge get, and it's possible because there has to be something on that game now. It's been a year. There has to be something on that game now.
They have had Hitman on Game Pass before,
right? So
the new
one. And remember, this is they're independent now. Like they make their own stuff, so this could be any.
I could totally see them cutting a deal where, hey, Bond will be on. It won't be exclusive.
No, but it
will be on Game Pass Day One.
A huge get because that game automatically has pedigree to it. It doesn't matter what it is because it's made by Hitman. So that would be a great one to get.
That's a really good
obviously
one. They could easily go out and get that.
There's a good amount of Starfield if they really want to push it. Because Starfield is coming in a couple months, like it's got to. Maybe Elder Scrolls 6 something, maybe more than just a title screen.
I say no,
but I don't think. But this is like we're talking like pie in the sky stuff because they have to kill it. Because the worst thing that they're gonna do is they're gonna devote half of this show to fucking Marathon and Alan Wake and all the shit I just saw 2 weeks ago, and don't give a shit about.
I don't think you'll see Alan Wake or that.
But that shit happens. They will show Marathon. Marathon will be shown.
I got a good one for you. Xbox owns this studio. We've talked about it every year, but this could easily be the year. What if you get a Banjo remake? Not Banjo 3. They remake the original Banjo.
It's tough to say which one I'd want more because I would argue that I'd want a 3 more. I could also see it being Nuts and Bolts 2.
But how about well, I mean, there is an audience for that.
There is.
For sure. You just got that.
Well, you got it. But...
No. The thing is, like, I think you could still get both, right? Like, I think you could get a remake to gauge the interest and then go, well, we can do Banjo 3. Maybe Banjo 3 is Nuts and Bolts 2, but it's not called Nuts and Bolts 2.
Maybe it's like a mix of both games. Yeah, it could be.
But I think at this point, like, it's been teased enough. There's been enough. There have been actual people out there talking.
They care about
like,
Banjo.
Heard stuff about Banjo.
Yeah.
Like, and we heard this a lot last year and nothing happened. I mean, this year they know they have to go into it hard. They don't have to do much to get people excited.
Or they turn it into a kart racing game and it's Diddy Kong Racing 2, but it's just Banjo now. And it's Banjo and Conker.
I mean, I would love that.
There's a crazy one. What if they made a Conker game? They could.
They could, but I don't.
Who's it for?
Maybe,
I don't know. Our generation, I guess.
Yeah,
I guess I don't.
Boomers.
I'm part of our generation. I don't want it.
Yeah, so. I don't want it.
Like that's the thing. I don't.
Yeah, I really feel like they got to hit it, and they got to avoid showing stuff that's already been shown at Sony thing because there will be some stuff.
Yeah,
I think you get Hellblade 2. I think you get your release date.
I don't think so.
I don't know.
You don't think so?
I don't think so, man. I feel like that game was supposed to.
The game exists.
Yeah.
Avowed. I think you get gameplay of it here. I don't think it's out.
Abandoned
this
year, is now an Xbox game. It couldn't run on a PS5.
And here's the best part. This is Kojima.
And it was Kojima the whole time.
Like the whole time. Yeah, like the ultimate ruse. That would be good.
What a twist.
The other thing that there's a lot of heavy rumors on right now, and I could see this being here because they cut that deal. There's supposedly a remake of Persona 3.
That would be nuts.
And I could see that. I could see that being here. That would
be on everything.
If you're making a Persona 6, yeah, it'd be on everything, but it's on Game Pass day one.
Sure.
That's the thing.
If you're making a Persona 6 though, like that's a Sony thing for sure. Like that's
I think you'd see it there. Or Persona is a big enough franchise. You show that at the Keighley stuff.
Yeah, you could. Yeah. God, imagine the crowd reaction for a Persona 6 of that thing.
But a remake of Persona 3, you could show that at the Xbox showcase.
They're talking about collections. What other collections could you get? Like Gears 1 to 3?
Gears of War.
Yeah.
We've talked about a Marcus Phoenix collection for a while. Mm-hmm. At this point, I believe it probably exists
1 to 3
in some form. And it's 1 to 3. So I don't think they put Judgment in there because that was made by a different team.
Yeah, no, it doesn't make sense.
It's not really a Marcus Phoenix.
No, it'd be 1 to 3.
Yeah.
It'd be 1 to 3, and that's fine.
Yeah.
So I've heard some people say it'd be remade in Unreal 5. I think that's
too much.
No.
Doesn't need to.
I think it'd be Unreal 4.
It'd be Unreal 4. It doesn't need to be that.
But yeah, I think that's something that exists. And if there is anything Gears related at this showcase, that's what it is. It's not Gears 6.
No, I don't think it's Gears 6.
It is this with a hey, we're working on a new Gears. We're not ready to talk about it.
Yeah.
Here's this. Do you think at this showcase you get the confirmation of a date for a 60 frames patch for Redfall?
No.
You don't think they talk about Redfall at all? You think they just skirt it under the rug?
This show is meant to be positive and looking to the future. Okay. I don't think they reference Redfall. I think if it was because obviously they've been working on this for months. I think if it wasn't like a sizzle reel somewhere or anything, it's been edited out. Like they do not want to talk about it at this because post this interviews, it will come up, but that'll be stuff you have to read online. But why show it?
Two other things, and I'll leave it at that. Do you think within a week after the showcase is the new season of Halo? Do you think there's anything Halo here? If so, do you think it's just a sizzle for the new season, or do you think they talk about that new mode?
I think it's just them talking about
battle royale.
Here's the stuff coming to Halo. That's all it is.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's it.
All right. And then that would cover that. I forget what the last one I was going to say now.
What else do they even have to talk about? They don't have much else.
I had one other big and I would close it with that, and I can't remember what it was now. Oh, the other big one. Now I just remembered it. Do you think here that now they have to come out, and I want to lock in what you think it's going to be, because they have to say it at this conference for the Starfield portion? Do you think they got that game running at 60? Do you think there is a performance mode?
I think there is. I don't think they talk about it now because you cannot say it exists after what happened with Redfall. You cannot say it exists. It's safer to not say it exists and just let it be when it releases now than to say we have it and then something goes wrong and the week before you have to say coming at a later date. Like,
yeah.
Do you think it's the kind of thing where like they put out a press release in August?
I don't know.
Like where it's like, hey,
this can't go wrong. Like the problem is Starfield cannot go wrong in any way. And like it can go wrong. It can go wrong in the typical Bethesda games are buggy way. That's okay. Like I expect that when I play Fallout or what I get it. But it cannot go wrong in it doesn't work. It's 30 frames. It's not capped. Broken. It crashes. Yeah. It cannot. It just can't.
So I'm going to go opposite. I'm going to say, because I think they have to address it here. I think it does have a performance mode. I don't think they tell you what the resolution of that mode is.
Oh, it's probably.
I think it is only Series X. I think Series S, you are at 30 frames.
Series S, you are locked. Yeah, that's
sure.
You are lucky if that game works on that system.
It's going to be it'll be 1080 60 on the X minimum.
That's what I think, but I don't think they'll say res.
But honestly, I would take 1080 60. That's fine.
I would too. That's the thing. Like, if that's what it takes to get this game to run at 60,
fine, whatever.
Fine.
Yeah, but it's going to be locked. It's going to be locked. Experience. Probably 1080 30 on the Series S. All right,
without question.
Here's the craziest thing that could happen.
One. Okay.
Final Fantasy VII Remake for Xbox.
Really?
Remember, still not technically a PlayStation only game. And still not.
They've never said
it. And even with the new one, Rebirth, still not technically a PlayStation. It's a PlayStation 5 game, but it's not technically a PlayStation game. It could still exist. Fucking Crisis Core came out on Xbox. Like,
the only problem I have with that is I think at this point, is there anyone out there?
No, there isn't. But that's why it's easier to do it now.
True.
Yeah.
Because
I would just think the people that cared went out and bought a PlayStation.
Yes, because it doesn't matter anymore. But that's why it could happen now. Because then that also sets the precedent for, Rebirth will be on Xbox 2 years later. You're not waiting that long. Or 3 years later, I guess. Yeah. Like, you're not waiting that long. So that's
Final Fantasy 16.
That's even a better like push for Sony to be like, see, it is coming to Xbox, but it takes 3 years. Yeah. And they're not banking on Final Fantasy VII Remake sales.
I mean, I will put out there, you have to remember, Forspoken was a 2 year exclusive.
Oof.
Not that anybody's going to care when that does eventually come to the Xbox. Do you think? Well, you know what? One other one I'll throw out there. Do you think you hear anything from Tango and maybe an Evil Within 3, or do you think they're not here because they just
not
put
yet?
Out,
they just did Hi-Fi Rush.
I think they wait.
Yeah. It's okay. They have a great game. They already
people
released
really
this
like
year.
Ghostwire. Yeah.
They're okay for now. They're fine.
Okay,
but that's clearly
the thing that
coming.
people don't remember. The thing that people don't remember is Shinji Mikami. He's gone. He's not
making that
anymore.
splitter head.
If that game exists, he's not buying Evil Within 3. So,
but that's another. I don't think that needs to exist. They already had a banger this year, and Ghostwire came out on Xbox, so they're fine.
People seem to be happy with that. So, next email we have comes from Rod from Redacted. Howdy, guys. Love the podcast. I just spent my evening being berated and belittled as well as having my life threatened by a singular customer over multiple phone calls. And honestly, I just don't have it in me to continue with this bullshit anymore. The reason the customer is calling and causing all of this is because I turned him away for a system trade that was incomplete. That trade was a PS5, and he was missing the console stand that comes with the system. Mm-hmm. The stand is a requirement because if you want to have the system horizontal, and most do, it will not lay flat without the stand.
It will not.
The customer went over to the next closest store, and they took the trade. Now I look like the bad guy that just denied the trade. I'll also say this isn't the first time I've had a customer get this angry over something so stupid. I would hate to just outright quit. I got bills to pay, but I've just had it with this place and its shitty customer base. What should I do? Also, do you guys have you guys ever had any customers treat you this shitty? Thanks.
Oh yeah, I mean, customers suck.
I remember one guy that was sent over to me by 4901 because we had copies of 2 games that they had GPGs on. The problem was the GPGs that he had were over a year expired.
Oh.
And this dude threw the biggest fit about I'm talking throwing stuff in the store. Like, it was bad.
Yep.
Where I'm just like, dude, I can't do it. Like, your GPG, I mean, it was like, I drove all the way from here. I'm just
10
like,
minutes
dude,
away.
I can't do it.
Not even.
So,
yeah.
And it's just ridiculous.
I mean, this sucks because this is the kind of situation that happens all the fucking time where other stores don't know what the hell they're doing. And like, yeah, system incomplete trade. I cannot take this. The most common thing that would ever happen with us were like PS3 or PS4s with that goddamn charging cable missing. Because then people would try to bring you like a 2-inch charging cable, and you'd be like, no, I can't take that one. What do you mean? That is not the cable that came with it. It's not even close to the right size. And it's probably not a data cable, which it needs to be because you need to be able to update your controller that way. They'd flip out. I'm going to take it to another store. You're more than welcome to. That's that store's problem then. They want to take shit back incomplete. That's on them. But like for him to do that and then call you up and berate you, like, and that's at that point, that's when I stop answering the phone. That's what maybe they don't have
I would
call
assume
right
this
anymore.
person did that
which
as
is
well.
A bummer, but like that's I don't answer anymore. You know, you just make a note of it. Like bad customers, there's a lot. I'm trying to think of like specific ones where like I was berated. A lot of times it would come down to like trade values on stuff where people don't get it.
A lot of times it would be trade value. That would probably be the most common.
Other people told them something wrong and it wasn't even from your store. Well, they said this, this, and this. That's not how it works, and I can't do that.
It's not at our store.
It's not here. Like I do things the way it should be done. And like if the horizontal stand is necessary for a PS5, which it should be, then I can't take it without it. I'm sorry. And they probably don't sell them separately, so too bad.
How are you going to play a disc in that system?
You can't. Like, the system does not sit that way. And you cannot be expected to be forced to buy this used one from me and be like, well, you got to stand it up. Are you okay with standing it up? That's the only way you can do it. You know, that's why whenever we got 360 traded in, this is a good one you'd get berated on. 360 traded in because 360, we talked about it before. They have a gear problem where the tray will not open if the system is standing up. Yeah. And if it didn't do that, sorry, I can't take this. What do you mean? It's defective. It works at home. I don't care. It works when it lays down. Great. I don't care. It does not work in a way that a customer could conceivably use it. It doesn't work. This is ridiculous.
That was a big one.
Sorry. You could take it someplace else, but I'm not going to take it. And, you know, we'd get people who would get irate with us. And then when they leave the store, I'd call the other store and be like, heads up. He's coming.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's a big one. Like, if you pissed us off, we would call the next store.
It sounds like
they were going.
Yeah, but it sounds like the store next to him just like are idiots and don't know how to do their job, or are vindictive, or it's one of those managers who was just like, just take it and then I'll defect it after and send it out. You know what I mean? Where they would screw the system. Yeah.
I could see.
I hated that shit.
Sure.
You know, is it something to quit over? I mean, there's a lot of reasons to quit at GameStop. I mean,
if this happens a lot, I would find it.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of reasons to quit GameStop, but this is a tough one because, like, you know, you get shitty customers, but there's good ones that balance that out. I like customer base at any retail job you work at. It's going to suck. I'm sure working at a Target sucks.
Yeah,
Walmart definitely sucks. It's just. I definitely recommend you quit, but try to find another job before you do it.
Absolutely. Barry from Petersburg, Virginia says, hey guys, I just wanted to write in and throw my 2 cents in on Dan and the fuck the N64 bandwagon because I 100% agree. I don't understand even today would buy one of those fancy HD adapters how half of those games are still playable. Look at that controller. It's complete garbage. I'm glad someone else has had the balls to say it.
I love it.
People love your opinion.
Because you know what? It's not even controversial because like I think
it's not.
You look at I think a lot of people look at it with like really like rose colored glasses now where when we were growing up,
remember specific games like Zelda, Mario,
Perfect Dark.
But they don't remember Blast Core or they don't remember those other
the
games.
Experience of having like a new game system and like Mario's in 3D and stuff. And then you realize like, man, it's just not good. It's just it's just not. And the controller
Wave
Race
64 was okay.
Well, that's the thing. We've talked about like 10% of the games on that system are okay.
Wrestling.
Oh, for sure.
All classics. Vincent from Elkhorn, Wisconsin. Hi guys, love the podcast and Kyle's Marvel Gallery channel. I was curious, what are your big YouTube channels that you follow? What do you guys watch? And what overall influenced you to do this podcast? Thanks. I think we said before, very early on in the podcast, the Giant Bombcast is probably the biggest influence, because I don't think it's what it was today. Clearly,
it's different. It's different now. Like,
it's different. I don't dislike everybody that's there now, but
no.
It's not what it was. As far as like YouTube channel for gaming related stuff, a big one for me has always been the Game Chasers.
Yeah.
In fact, I think I told you I just watched their movie finally.
Yeah, I do need to watch that too.
I'll say this. I went into that with like the lowest of expectations, and it's not bad.
That's funny to me.
I'm surprised at the quality level that it is.
Yeah.
So it's worth would I watch it like 100 times? No.
Game Chasers,
it's worth watching.
They're a big influence just in terms of like retro gaming stuff, because I really feel like they were one of the first original like good channels about how to do that stuff. Like,
it's just American pickers, but they're looking for games.
The thing about it, the reason I like them is like, yeah, they're kind of dicks and they're idiots, but so am I. But they're not. Yeah. But they're not assholes to these people that they're out there doing this for, like some of these other channels are.
I'll also throw out there, like, when it was Retro Liberty, I like that channel.
Yes.
The Pixel Game Squad stuff, I don't care for as much.
It's changed.
Since it's come back. Mm-hmm. It's changed. But when it was that Retro Liberty, like, that 2 years of content was fantastic. Really good stuff. Sometimes I'd argue it rivaled Game Chasers.
I mean, I used to watch Metal Jesus, but I can't stand him anymore.
Okay, I still watch Metal Jesus from time to time, but it very specific videos.
Yes.
So when it is like, hey man, I'm sponsored to show you this adapter for this, I don't care.
No thanks.
But like this one he did like a 2-part of like his trip to Oregon. That's really good one. Like, I enjoy that.
I should probably watch that. But like, there's been too many like, I guess icky is a good way to say it. Like things about him where it's like,
the limited run stuff.
Pay me to come game chase in your town. And it's like, what? Yeah. Like, that doesn't make any sense. And then like,
are you talking about like when he tried to do
like
an
awful Kickstarter?
Patreon?
Yeah, or whatever it was.
And then it never took off because it was terrible.
And then he tried to back off from it. We're like, well, and it's just like, no, it was a bad look. And then there was like, the limited run stuff where like clearly he's paid to hype this stuff, but he's not like saying it. And the whole like water damage in his house and like getting money for that, and that was weird. Yeah, it's just I don't know. I don't like it because
I'm in and out on his stuff, but
his videos have I think what hurts is his videos have like lasting impacts on like the values of stuff. It ruins shit.
Yeah,
he's ruined a lot of collecting, just because of.
Hey man, I've told Matt this many times, but there's the one guy that runs that guitar pedal company. Mm-hmm. If that you think games are bad, you think records are bad. If this guy puts on a $50 pedal and goes, "Hey, I think this is pretty good," within 30 minutes of that video hitting, that pedal is $600.
Yeah,
every fucking time.
So
that is like the top level, like biggest fuckery. It is ridiculous. But yeah, getting back to games, as far as like podcasts and stuff that I listen to, because like I was a Giant Bomb person, and up until the exit of like the big people, like Brad Shoemaker,
that was like
Vinny,
the end.
That was pretty hard. Yeah, I stuck around for the year after it, like in and out. Like if Jeff wasn't on the podcast, I was out. Yeah. When he was gone, that was like, I'm done. Mm-hmm. Like this isn't Giant Bomb anymore.
Jeff is Giant Bomb. Like he is.
Yeah. And like and again, I will from time to time tune into his podcast, but it's just him for 3 hours. And like at some point, like I like
watching him. I like watching him hang out and like stream stuff and talk about stuff while he does that.
Garage or hang out in
his garage, showing stuff out. That stuff's fine, but like
those are the best.
A 3-hour podcast of just Jeff is a lot. And I mean, I love Jeff.
Reading Discord. Yeah,
I love Jeff.
It's loaded. I switched all my podcast stuff over to, and I know you're gonna roll your eyes and hate it, but I listen to not all of it, but I listen to a lot of the Last Stand Media stuff. So I listen to sometimes the PlayStation podcast as Colin Moriarty, but I listen to the Xbox one more. And then what I really like is they like every month they'll try to have one where they're both together.
That's good.
So that they actually kind of talk about both brands, because again, Colin Moriarty is very PlayStation biased. So it's cool because when they have that, it kind of brings that guy back to reality of like, no, this actually is a thing over here on Xbox.
Yeah.
So I've been enjoying that because I also like when he goes after stories that other people won't touch. So, and because he doesn't give a fuck, it's great. So
I go in and out on Nextlander just because I really still like Vinny a lot. Like Vinny and Brad, and Brad and Alex like together are great. Like
their streams are
good. They're fun to watch.
Yeah.
So like that's like podcast stuff. Like other stuff I watch, like I watch like a Mario Maker YouTuber because my son really likes it. So like that's something we do together.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
And that's really inspired him. Like he actually plays Mario Maker too and makes his own levels and stuff now just because he likes watching this guy play. So that's fun. I don't know. I watch a lot of random YouTube stuff. It's all over the place, to be honest.
And that's it. Like if you're talking just about games, that's kind of it. Like I'm more on the other end.
I used to watch.
I'm watching like Dirty Dead Malls and people
retro collector stuff. But like this sounds like petty, but like over time, I just get tired of them because as they grow larger, they just become insufferable. About like. They'll in one video they'll bitch about how they're at a flea market that's charging retail price, but that's only because they can't flip it for retail price.
Yeah.
So what you're complaining that they're trying to get the money that you want? They're not selling it. Like that's bullshit. And then it just becomes like them arguing like I can't believe that they're charging $15 for Mario Kart. Why it should be $5. And then he goes and he's like, so I sold it on eBay for $30. It's like fuck off.
Like, no, those are dumb.
Those are terrible. So I stopped watching those.
Yeah, it's weird because like a lot of the like individual personality people, I think Metal G's be the only one that I occasionally check in on anymore. A lot of the other ones I've really dropped off of just because I don't think it really matters.
No,
like at the end of the day. So
Giant Bomb, I've gotten back into Giant Bomb lately just because I like Grub and
I do like Jeff Grubb.
Dan Reichert is. I like Dan Reichert like. It's weird.
He's fucking crazy.
He is almost intolerable sometimes because he is insane. But it's fun to like watch him. I like Jan still. Like that company again. Like even after the transition, they just fired a shitload more people. Like that's such a weird place because I never know who's going to be there anymore. And then sometimes they just bring back people that they fired, and it's like, what is going on?
Yeah, so it is weird. So. But yeah, I mean that's it. Otherwise, on the other side of YouTube,
we talked about this kind of stuff for
we did once
a while, and like, well, no, I'm just saying, like, we talked about like doing a podcast and stuff just for fun, just because we like them, and like this is Kyle and I like. We talk about this shit all day. One of the reasons we started it when we originally started when we had Eric back on was just because of the pandemic. Yeah.
So
way for us to talk to each other, and it became at that point it was kind of like, well, we all worked together at GameStop, so we could always talk about that, and it's just
obviously you've seen what that's turned the podcast
into.
But
like that, I feel like at least that's something like we connect on, and like I like talking about that stuff, and
for sure,
you and I have better knowledge than a lot of people. Like I worked in video games retail for 15 years. Yeah. And it's only reason it's over is because my store closed. I probably would still fucking be there because whatever. But sure. But like I have a lot, and I worked at 2 different companies. I opened a store and closed the same store as the company opened and started. Essentially, like that was fucking crazy. But yeah.
Next question we have comes from Jose from Phoenix, Arizona. He says, hey all, with Diablo 4 coming out shortly here, are you all planning on playing it and playing it together? Would be curious to hear your opinions on it. Thanks. We actually are. We were talking about before we were recording. The thing that's really cool about Diablo 4 is it is cross-play everywhere. So like I'm going to be playing on Xbox. I think you're going to be playing on PS5. Yep. I don't know what Matt's going to be playing on yet. I think he's still deciding. But we're gonna play it together. We're gonna figure that out. So when we record next time, we'll probably have a lot to say about Diablo.
We'll have played it together for sure.
I look forward to jumping into it. Next email we have comes from Brian from Manhattan Beach. I had to look this up because I was like, Manhattan Beach, California. It's real.
Yeah.
So, Manhattan Beach, California. It says, howdy guys. I love the conversation you had several episodes back about rental stores. I was curious, with the writer's strike, everything imploding with streaming, and Blockbuster actually opening 5 locations out here in California by the end of 2023. Do you think there's even a slight chance we can see rental stores return? Thanks. So that is a real thing.
I know. I'm jealous.
Opening 5. I'm jealous too.
I'd go there immediately.
I don't know how much you know about the writer's strike. I'll put this out there and you'll enjoy this. One podcast I have been listening to / watching a lot lately is Steve-O's podcast.
Yeah.
Because he has a lot of random guests.
Yeah, he does.
He just had on Anders Holm.
Yeah.
From Workaholics. Mm-hmm. And that guy's a writer. So that guy had a really good way of explaining, like, this is why we're striking, this, everything. And it's all over streaming. It's all over streaming rights and all that stuff. So I highly encourage you to go watch, like, anybody to go watch that. If you have want any information on, like, a good, somebody that can take what that is and break it down in a very simple way of why they're striking. I don't know, like, it is getting to a point where we just had the Netflix rollout of their password thing, which is fucking garbage. Like, I don't think we've talked about it on the podcast. You and I have certainly talked about how stupid it is, how I just was like, I'm out, with Netflix, and it is whatever. But the sad thing about that is, I think once it does become a success, and I think it will after they lose a substantial amount of people, because there are going to be people that are like, fuck it, I'm out. Like, I'm not going to
there will be,
because it is $8 per profile.
Yeah, it's insane.
It is an extreme amount of, it's almost half. So, but the fear and what I think will happen is, once it does become a success, all these other streaming services are going to do the same thing.
I mean,
they're going to look at it and go, well, we'll
figure it out. Yeah, that's the thing is,
I mean, as far as rental stores, it's hard for me to say, because, like, for movies, sure. Because how many times you see a movie get put up here, then it's taken down because this other streaming company bought the rights to have it for this many months.
A weird streaming thing shows, that, like, you don't have the rights to, or you don't subscribe to, gets the rights to it for 2 years. And you're like, what the fuck? And
I think a lot of people are really fed up with it, because it's basically, there was a thing that just came out a couple days ago where Verizon is selling a package.
I saw that.
It's like Netflix, Hulu, and Paramount Plus, and people are just pointing out, this is cable.
Yes.
Like, this has become cable now. And so, like, I think at some point it will implode. Will it bring back rental stores? I would like to see that happen.
I would love it. I think this Blockbuster thing is fun. It's a nostalgia thing. Like, you get people our age who would be like, I'd go in a heartbeat, but it won't last longer than a couple years. And maybe we'll get a couple in, like, the Chicago area, but that's it. It's not going to be a long-term
even
thing.
Then, like, I'm like, I would drive.
It's the experience. It's not. It's
not going to be. Yeah, exactly. It's like, I've said it many times. Like, I now live in the vicinity of 3 closed down family videos, and it kills me every day.
I hate it.
So, because I drive by one pretty frequently. So. But no, I don't think it's going to bring them back, unfortunately. So
it'd be cool.
I wish it would, but I don't think it will. So, other than that, that's going to wrap up everything for the podcast this week. Like I said, we'll be back in 2 weeks. We'll have a lot to talk about. We'll have Diablo to talk about. We'll have this Microsoft showcase to talk about.
Yep.
Please send in all your emails to podcast572@gmail.com. You want to send in more controversial game opinions?
Please do
it. You want to talk more about the shitty GameStop card changes?
Please do. Yeah.
Like, I can tell clearly from a couple of emails, like, it seems like the general consensus, I don't think anybody likes the card change.
I haven't seen anyone who's like, yeah, it's a good deal.
I've seen anybody like, it's okay.
Yeah, even Reddit is like, how the hell am I supposed to do this? Yeah.
I'm not surprised. So, but as always, thank you again for listening, and we will catch you in another 2 weeks.
Thank you for listening.